Hello everyone, and welcome to Straight Chilling. Each week we watch and review a horror film for your entertainment. You can send all questions and comments to straightchillingpodcast@gmail.com, and don't forget to keep chilling.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing. 5 cold feelings on the mind, got you reeling. 5-star ratings from the floor to the ceiling. If you get your 1 star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ, all the 1s and 2s. By the name Elzebub, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all in 2. And prepare to hear the legend of the Straight Chillin' crew.
What up, nerds, and welcome to another lo-fi episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob, and I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode number 281, recorded on Sunday, August 23rd, 2020. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the winner of the August poll pick, which was VHS2 from 2013. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show tonight. First up, calling in from Phoenix, Arizona, we got our boy, Randy Gandy G. Landy. What's up, man?
What's up, gentlemangs? How's it going?
Very well. What is the temperature in Phoenix today?
Oh, Jesus. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's safe to say it's hovering in the 117, 120 area because that's where we've been for fucking weeks.
That is incredible.
We finally had some desert rain the other day, and it somehow bypassed us completely, but it got all the surrounding areas with the monsoon, they say, and it was apparently pretty drastic. The fucking lightning was nuts. So yeah, that's where we're at. Shit's hot.
For sure. So hot. Don't catch fire, my boy. Don't do it. Last but not least, calling in from the Southern Korea, we got our boy, Soju. What's up, man?
Hello. It's your boy Soju Stains, 2020.
Oh my God.
I would like to thank all of my loyal supporters for helping me pull out quite a hefty victory in the August poll pick. We are discussing VHS2 today, and you will all get your just reward this Tuesday, August 25th, where you will receive the hidden lost episode of our original recording of VHS2. Thank you all for your support. This has been Soju Stains 2020.
Well, la-dee-da.
Right.
Hooray! You guys sold the propriety of our poll pick to Justin for a song.
Yeah, you get to hear us talk about the same movie twice, which I'm sure will be great. I'm sure that's
and the second time it's going to be much worse.
It's so much worse. But hey,
so congratulations on your barely a victory.
Right on. Let's go ahead and jump into some housekeeping real quick. Patreon news. The September poll pick is currently posted on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this September. The theme for September is black and white horror movies. The 3 movies you can vote between are going to be Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, Eyes Without a Face, and House on Haunted Hill.
Bob, how are those numbers looking so far?
Looking so good. House on Haunted Hill is winning. Damn. Eyes Without a Face, a little bit behind. Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, way on back.
Okay, so back to our regular program here, one in the lead, one close behind, one not even close.
Pretty much. Still a handful of people to vote, though. So, I mean, we've got maybe a week and a half. Vote.
Is a handful enough to get Baby Jane to the top?
Maybe
really?
So.
Oh, I'm genuinely surprised by that.
Maybe.
All right, well, I mean, last minute push for that, maybe.
It's true. Also, you never know. Some people might just start changing their votes all willy-nilly. So, I mean,
somebody starts begging for it, maybe.
That never happened.
Hey, if you choose Justin's favorite, he will send you his dirty laundry for you to sniff horribly in your bed at night.
Damn.
He'll find
that's the new promise.
Some random piece of garbage.
It at a price.
He will find it and send it to you.
He will send you all the rosebuds in his jockey shorts for your vote.
He'll do it for you. Juice, do you have any YouTube or Twitch news?
I have just some other housekeeping news, no YouTube or Twitch actually, but so coming up on the Patreon $10 level, the hashtag hard with us level, there's a new mini episode coming out from Shiboy Soju talking about that Netflix series from Japan, the Ju-on series. Which is The Grudge, like Origins, I think it's called, something like that.
Yeah. Origins.
I finally got around. Yeah, but I finally got around to talking about that, so that should be popping up in your feed pretty soon. Also, I was lucky enough to be a guest on another horror podcast. So if you need a little extra soju in your life, I think that episode's going to be dropping this week on the podcast of Gods and Monsters. So they are affiliated with Something Ghoulish. We have had Anthony on before, who kind of runs that group, and they mainly focus on like older films. I don't know if they have like a specific set date that they kind of stay behind, but
I think it's like pre-1960, I want to say, is what they do.
Something like that. Yeah, I feel like I saw one in the 70s in their feed, but it could have just been a one-off type of thing. So they talk about horror movies from a bygone era. Bygone era. So I was on there, and so I should be on I think it's this week, and it's an episode on Alfred Hitchcock's The Lodger, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in what you've been watching. But if you want some extra soju, check it out.
I want some extra soju.
Want some. So I believe
but the duty
that's
is
on my
housekeeping.
Extra duty free, Randy.
God, I gotta get that duty free. What am I thinking?
Give me that duty free soju.
No duty in my soju, please.
No. I'll take
Bob likes extra duty.
God, that's the lowest hanging fruit joke possible.
Hold the duty.
All right.
Thank you.
We're really setting a high bar for our comedic talents.
Is the house clean, Bob, or you got a little more cleaning to do?
Clean this house.
Yeah, that's about it. That's all we got.
All right.
As far as housekeeping is concerned, let's go ahead and get into the main event. We're talking about VHS2, and we are kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Bob, you got this box, right?
I do, actually. I do.
And you have it ready to read, right?
That is
in your hand.
And you have enough sobriety left in your body. You have enough sobriety to read, correct?
I mean, Shaboy's been drinking, so let's just go ahead and we'll get that out on the table there.
On the Lord's Day, Bob?
You know, I wanted to eat some fried chicken, but Chick-fil-A was closed, so I had to start drinking. That's the only other option.
Oh, man.
That's the only solution.
Sorry about it.
Nobody to blame but the filet.
A little bit of the sacrament. VHS2 from 2013. There's a shitload of directors on this movie.
Yeah, there are.
Because it is an anthology, and each segment was directed by a different person. We got Simon Barrett, we got Jason Eisner, Gareth Evans, Greg Hale, Eduardo Sanchez, Timo Tianto, and Adam Wingard. Sorry if I butchered
that. Definitely went perfectly.
Yeah. The plot synopsis is as follows. Searching for a missing student, two private investigators break into his house and find a collection of VHS tapes. Viewing the horrific contents of each cassette, they realize there may be dark motives behind the student's disappearance. Gentle Mangs, have you seen this movie before, and would you recommend people check it out? Randy, kick us off.
I feel like that's a redundant question, considering the whole point, the whole reason this movie was chosen was because we have watched this movie before and reviewed it.
Yeah, I guess.
And I have not. Yeah,
Juice really ruined this whole segment of the show. Thanks, Juice.
Yeah, he really fucked up the have you seen it before section.
The most popular segment that we have.
The segment that people
everybody
are
loves
to us
it.
For. I have to know if they've seen it.
Have they? Tell me now.
All right. Well, would you recommend it?
So yes, I would recommend it based on my sensibilities. I have kind of a mark for found footage in general. And this was one of the sort of like early, or not, well, I mean, this franchise really, it was one of the earlier anthology resurgence films that we kind of got in the early 2010s.
Yeah.
So that all those things kind of spoke to me. It was kind of on the cutting edge of a trend that was coming up. It was on the sort of the ass end of a trend that had been kind of abused at that point and not really used entirely creatively all that much, or not as much as it could have been. And it gave a lot of directors that we now know as somewhat household names for horror fans their some exposures, shall we say, and some opportunity to shine and try some stuff out. So yeah, for those reasons, I think that for a horror fan, it's pretty worthwhile. I wouldn't, recommend it to just anybody though. It's if you don't like shaky cam footage, if you don't like that sort of thing, like every found footage movie, this might not be for you. So other than that, yeah, recommend.
Juice, what about you?
I had seen this before. I've reviewed it before. I like this movie for a couple different reasons. One is you get kind of like a double hitter in that you get an anthology, like a solid anthology and a solid found footage, like it's all found footage style. So you get kind of two subgenres together, and I both feel like they're in like the quality realm of those subgenres. So also within like just the anthology, you get a pretty solid grab bag of different like themes, so there's like a haunting, there's a zombie, there's an aliens, there's kind of like a cultish thing. So like it's a pretty solid like grab bag of horror. And I feel like I enjoy this film, but also I can't help but think about like, I feel like this is pretty great for younger viewers getting into horror, like because of that grab bag reason. I feel like it's got enough of those like kind of cheap like scares that really interest like newcomers getting into the genre, but it's got a lot more like depth and like variety too that can kind of keep you in the genre. So yeah, I would definitely recommend. Bob, had you seen this before? You did actually not review this with us, which is why I have that hidden episode. So your take will be fresh.
So fresh. Yeah.
Funky fresh.
I'd seen this a handful of times before. I don't remember why I missed the last time we recorded it.
I love being incontinent.
I do love being incontinent, though.
That's probably the reason then.
Yeah. I'd seen this movie a handful of times before and recommend the hell out of it. It's a solid like found footage movie and anthology movie. Both of those things are very difficult to pull off, I find, and I think this one does both of them pretty fucking well. It's, I don't know. I have minimal complaints, which we'll get into that.
Okay.
Yeah. VHS2 is pretty solid. Bloody Disgusting did something right. Go ahead and say that.
Wow, that sounds
calling them out, Bob.
I can feel that backhand from here. Jesus,
in your drunken state. Now
really letting them fly.
Really
I more often than not agree with Bloody Disgusting, but on occasion they get a little wild.
Don't burn any bridges for us.
Yeah, because game over, man. Game over. Yeah, that sounds like pretty hearty recommend.
Fun cast.
Pretty hearty recommend.
Rob, you gonna drink that, or are you just gonna look at it?
Rob has since switched to coffee, I hear, and it's sobering up quickly.
That's what you hear. That's not what I say.
That better be an Irish coffee.
All right, let's go ahead and drop that spoiler warning. We're getting into the rest of VHS2.
Spoiler warning.
All right.
You got that typed up synopsis this week?
I do. I have a synopsis ready to go.
Good.
On the eggshell cardstock?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Of course. Do you think I'm an animal? Eggshell is the way to go.
All right. Thank you.
It's also nice and brief. So let's do this real quick. All right. Plop synopsis. is as
Plop.
follows.
Synopsis.
Oh, plop synopsis.
Here we go. We're plopping away.
Synopsis that plop.
All right. The movie opens up with a pair of private investigators breaking into a house looking for a college student that has gone missing. The house is filled with VHS tapes and tube televisions. The two begin watching some of the tapes, as well as some video recorded onto a laptop by the kid that has gone missing. They sift through some of the VHS tapes, and we are treated to basically 4 like horrific vignettes that have been recorded on these VHS tapes. The first one is of a man who gets a camera implanted in his eye that accidentally allows him to see ghosts. The second is of a man riding a bike through the park who then gets bitten and turned into a zombie, ultimately ending in a really bloody birthday bash. The third is about a documentary crew interviewing the leader of a foreign cult who ultimately summons the devil, leading to the crew's demise. And finally, the fourth story is about a kid's slumber party that is interrupted by an alien invasion. In between each of these little stories, we flash back to our private investigators who are becoming increasingly more out of it as they watch these VHS tapes. They find footage of the college kid attempting to commit suicide on the computer there. And he ends up just shooting his jaw off. The girl appears to become possessed at some point, and the guy is then just murdered by the jawless college kid. Pretty high level synopsis. Wow. Wow.
Really
I'm just trying to set the mood here, guys. Come on.
I think you did a really good job there.
Just doing my job here.
Really.
Rip Tom.
Rip Tom.
For sure. That's the synopsis. So we can kind of take them piece by piece, I guess would be the easiest way to work through this. There's sort of like the wraparound segment, which might actually be better to tackle that one last, since it sort of...
You want to do that last?
Yeah, it wraps it up. Yeah,
wraps everything up. They break into the house.
Let's talk about Adam.
They're watching these...
Oh, Adam.
They're watching these VHS tapes. The first one is actually called Phase 1 Clinical Trials.
Now...
Yeah.
Who else thought this was a weird first choice for a movie called VHS 2?
Yeah, no,
because
VHS
of the
at all,
technological stuff.
Yeah, there's nothing involved with this that's VHS except that it was transferred theoretically onto VHS for the purposes of fitting into that wraparound segment.
Well, I mean, they do say,
point of view.
Yeah, it is, but
There's
also,
that.
I mean, they do say that they're recording his information. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, I understand the premise of it. I think it's a little odd.
It's a
because
digital recording.
Yeah, it's a digital recording. It's got digital noise instead of fuzz from the VHS and scan lines and things like that. It's just sort of an odd thing, and aesthetically, it wasn't what I particularly want from VHS. A short.
Yeah, I agree with you there, but I dig the story. Like the idea in general is kind of cool.
Do you?
And, there's like some pretty cool scares, and I like seeing Adam Wingard like starring in this too. Like he directed it.
I think that's kind of fun. It speaks to like the
low budget,
the level of production that they had at the time. And as he's gone on to obviously be well known and well regarded in horror circles. But I gotta say, this is my least favorite segment of the whole bit.
Really?
Oh, really?
Disagree.
For sure.
Disagree.
Well, apparently.
I generally think I disagree, but I guess we can like break it down per segment. But I like this one. It's the ghosty one. Man, ghosties get me. I don't know. I think just the tension that's like revolves around ghosty scares is like really what gets my craw. But it gets me good.
It gets my craw.
Gets right
Get out of my craw.
My craw. But I like the idea too. They like you see ghosts, and the more attention that you give them. So the idea is he gets an implant. So he got in a wreck, his eye is damaged, and so he is signing up for this test trial
thing.
Yeah, experimental, where they put like a artificial eye in, and it's a camera. And they've like tied it to his brain or whatever, and he can see again out of it. So he goes home, and as he's leaving the hospital, he's like, this girl gives him like this weird look, which I mean, I guess you can see that he's got this weird like new eye in his head. But he starts to see things, and they're ghosties, and he doesn't really know what they are. Like, they start to affect like his house, like in small ways. They like knock shit over or whatever, move his controller around. He's playing video games. And then he gets kind of like locked in his bathroom. They're like banging on the door, and he's like freaking out. Then, like, when the daylight comes, he's like, okay, like, I'm safe. Maybe I was just dreaming, doing some weird shit. He calls his doctor and, like, complains, like, you got to take this shit out of my head. But it's, like, Saturday or something. And this chick shows up at his house, and she kind of breaks it down for him. She's like, yeah, I was born deaf, but I got this experimental, like, implant, too, and I can hear the dead, which I don't really know what that's like hearing the dead. But
I want to get a nasal implant so I can smell the dead.
She does say she hears, like, a baby crying at one point.
Yeah.
I want to point out that a cochlear implant is not experimental and is done by like thousands and thousands of people worldwide. And to date, I have never heard of anybody experiencing ghosties in their hearing. This
is definitely an episode of Black Mirror where the guy gets the little camcorder implanted in his eye.
Yeah, but that was more interesting because it's specifically geared around keeping memories.
Yeah, interpersonal
storing your
relationships
memories for your own benefit.
Not paranormal related at all. But I don't know.
Right.
I do dig this idea. Like it's obviously like very low budget and like very base. They didn't have a whole lot to work with, but I think they still had some like really solid scares. If ghosty scares get you, this is going to get you. It's like either it will or it won't. And in the very end, I think is super impactful where like he ends up cutting the freaking camera. Well, he cuts his eyeball out. Like, and one of the ghosts grabs his eyeball and like force feeds it to him. It's pretty gruesome.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked up. Yeah,
and
also too, the girl gets killed.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe her sense is like not strong enough to maybe bring them out. But as soon as he can start seeing them, like more ghosts like get attracted to him, and they end up killing the girl. But then at the end, like since she's been killed, isn't like she a ghosty too? Didn't you guys see her like
the rules are not defined? Yeah, I don't know if it's fully defined what she is or whether or not that's the case. It's not like a force ghost where as soon as you die you get to be hanging out. I don't know how it works exactly, and it's not like Hill House or any of those things as far as I know. Do you guys? I mean, I have some issues with this, and I'll go through them if you guys are.
What were some of your main issues?
So first of all, there's kind of a missed opportunity spot for me here, and this is obviously like this is a beyond their budget. I can't blame them for not doing this, but I kind of have this desire to see somebody attempt to do something similar where there's an implant in your eye, but the actual camera behaves the way an eye does. So it darts around, it focuses very shallow on whatever it's supposed to be focusing on. So when you can't see something that's like blurry, you're struggling to get the, you know what I mean?
Depth,
it seems like there's, your depth.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
I think that would be really, really awesome. And it seems like why even do it this way unless you're just looking for a new angle for found footage, which is fine. But again, it also loses me because it's not VHS. It doesn't have that aesthetic to it. Yeah. Then on top of that, the girl's acting is pretty rough. I gotta say, it's not like the worst thing in the world, but it's pretty tin ear sort of thing going on. And the idea that her cochlear implant, a pretty common procedure comparatively, not an experimental surgery really, is a little bit like, at least just because I know about those things a little bit. It just seems like, okay, I guess like, I'm missing a limb, therefore I can sense cold in my phantom limb. Like you can just make that up. I guess it's just, I can feel them touching my leg.
I can taste the dead.
Yeah, it's just sort of odd. And the ghosts themselves did not scare me in the slightest. The scariest part to me was, or the most effective part to me was maybe the ghost underneath the blanket. But every other ghost where you actually see them, it's pretty like rote makeup job going on. Yeah. There's just a dude in a big fat dude in a diaper. Like it's just really weird what they've chosen
for some reason.
Yeah, that was what was kind of disturbing.
We don't know. She saw him at the office.
Also, like her main defense was like, I know how to get rid of these ghosties. Let's bang.
Let's bang. Let's turn on some techno music and
that's her whole deal. Her whole deal is distractions. Like the way you keep them at bay is distractions. But that to me seems like just a way to get titties in your film, which I guess
I actually thought it was a good idea because if you think about the logic of it, so she hears them. So her kind of distraction was like, she turns on some loud music and she's like, yeah, we're going to fuck or whatever. So I think she was thinking like, I'm a visual stimulus. So like, that's going to help distract him, but she's never had to deal with it. Like he can actually see them. So like, she's like, yeah, I'm going to turn on loud music. And her logic is like, yeah, I'll flash my titties around. And yeah, I'm sorry. Yabos around.
Yeah, that's just
I apologize.
Are you being a little stupid?
A little bit, yes. I do apologize. So she flashes her Yabos around. I think she's thinking like, oh, that's going to be his visual distraction because she's never had to deal with that aspect of it before. So
I guess, but to me, I mean, I don't I like the fact that she arrives there. She sees him in this, like we first encounter her as he's leaving the doctor's office. He gets her right home, and then she shows up at his house. Somehow gets his address. Somehow shows up at his house, and does so for reasons that I'm still not entirely clear on. I guess to help him, but she doesn't. She just saw a guy with a weird eye. Like I don't know what she's assuming here.
Yeah.
It's a little loosey.
I don't know. It's pretty loose, and that's. I mean, it's an anthology film. It's short format, and it's showcasing directorial stuff instead of writing stuff. I get all that, but it just kind of left me kind of like cold, and the acting was not great for my taste. The ghosts were not scary to me, and overall I just kind of think it's just kind of a lot of missed opportunities and stuff like that.
Do you guys, I know we hadn't talked about this previously, but do you guys want to rate the individual segments like out of 5 as we work through them?
I was going to rank that. I was just about to say like where this ranks in like my favorites.
Yeah.
So
let's rank them in our favorites.
Which I guess we could out of 5, but not how we typically do. I was going to say like this is number 1, this number 2, this number 3.
I was going to say like we can rate them out of 5 and then rank them whatever, and then like obviously we need to rate the film as a whole at the end to stay consistent.
Let's rank them.
I think that'll be easier.
First, second, third, fourth, fifth, and then we'll give the overall film an out of 5.
Okay. Yeah. So we've got the 4 main like segments, and then the wraparound would be the 5th.
I guess that's fair. Yeah. Okay. Out of 5. Yeah.
So okay. Yeah. You want to go ahead and start with this one?
Yeah. Mine would. I think I'd put this one at 3.
Okay.
This is definitely number 5 for me.
Oh. Okay.
Number 5 being the lowest, right?
The lowest, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The best. No,
I don't know. Like
yeah, I know.
Yeah. I'll get into my. I'll tell you later. It's fine. 5 for me.
This is my number 3, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 3.
Middle of the road.
All right, Bob and Juice on the same page. Juice. Randy, just shitting in our cereal. No.
Yeah. Well, that cereal sucks.
My cereal, not the Oreos.
Oh no! I shat in your shit cereal.
All right, moving on.
Moving on that happy note.
I don't know what the title of this second one is.
It is called
A Ride in the Park.
A Ride in the Park. Directed by Eduardo Sanchez from fucking Blair Witch fame, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah,
right.
Pretty cool, man. We head back to the woods. We're in the woods.
That's right.
Yeah.
Zombies instead of witches this time.
Yep. So we had our ghosty one. Now we go on to the zombie one. So this one. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say this is probably the most outwardly funny of the 5, right? Most outwardly comedic.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
And also very tragic.
But not straight comedy.
It is.
Yeah, that's the thing. This one has
still horror
comedy. Wide variety of emotions going on.
Lots of emotion.
Really? I didn't get sad at all.
Dude, the end
God damn, Randy, what the fuck?
Is it? We'll get there.
Yeah.
Let's work through it. We got this dude.
Okay, so
he's on his bike. He's got a little GoPro on his helmet, and his girlfriend calls him, and she's like, "Hey, I thought we were gonna hang out or whatever." He's like, "I want to get a quick ride in." She's like, "You're riding that back more than you ride me." Ha 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 ha. So he takes off. There's this person who like comes out of the woods, looks injured. He tries to help. Turns out it's a zombie, and he gets bitten. He then transforms into a zombie and rides his bike into the middle of this like toddler's birthday party in the woods.
No. That's not quite correct. He gets turned into a zombie. He is not riding his bike while he's a zombie.
Whatever.
He's He's been wandering around.
He walks
as a zombie.
He walks
He's the fixie
into
zombie.
the fucking party as a zombie.
DMX zombies.
He gets there. It doesn't matter how. He fucking
It's essentially
tears
a
ass.
zombie outbreak from the perspective of the zombie
True.
because
The
he's
reason-
wearing a GoPro.
POV
He's wearing
zombie.
a GoPro on his head because he's riding a bike. It gives them an excuse. This is again another digital instead of VHS. But I don't. I guess because I think the idea is
2013
novel
old
enough.
man. They're all going to be digital technically.
That's one of the problems I have with the movie overall is that there's
Actually,
a lot
not
of
the third one. That's not true. The third
So-
one's technically not, I guess. But yeah.
This is the funniest one to me. Like it's clearly going for comedy, at least for me, for most of it. You've got, this guy, he gets attacked in the woods and it's going by a number of zombie outbreak. But the idea that he has, because he is a cyclist and he has the GoPro in his head and you get point of view zombies, like that's kind of fun. Like I think it's like overall just kind of a fun concept more than it is anything else.
I think this is the most like creative, like where I was
Yeah.
like, that's like a great idea because he would be like wearing, or like it makes like sense he would be wearing a GoPro, so you don't have to like stretch belief. And then sometimes it switches over, like they stumble in on this birthday party, they're out in the woods and it's like one of those picnic things you can rent out. And it like kind of switches over. The dad's recording the birthday party. So you get like a couple change of like point of view. But it's a great idea. And on top of that, it is funny because they crash the kid's birthday party and you get some good like old school, zombie gore where they tear in. At one point, they're eating this other guy. So they're tearing his guts out and you get like the first, like you get the view of like the stomach opening up and they're ripping out his entrails. And then he gets stabbed in the face with like a fork because they're barbecuing. So that's pretty good. I liked all that.
I like that they. Scar, go ahead.
I dig that, like, as soon as he turns into a zombie, the first thing he does is he looks down at his own arm and takes a bite out of himself.
Yeah.
And he doesn't like the taste. That makes perfect sense, right?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I like that. That's one of the things that's funny about this is like I don't know, because you're taking the form of a zombie and zombies are not higher functioning creatures brain wise. So it's like watching footage of being strapped to a dog or a cat and just seeing their day to day, but it's a zombie film,
Which we see
it's
that
just
later,
a lot of fun,
by the way.
And we do kind of see that later. We'll get to it, but for the sake of like, I don't know, like you guys are going to talk about the end, right? And so theoretically, the sad thing has to do with his relationship with his girlfriend or his wife.
Well, I mean, the sad thing to me was, okay, so we're following this guy around, and that's just never a perception that you get, like that point of view from a zombie. So you get to see he's turned into a zombie. He like test things out, like, oh, I'm going to eat myself. He kind of wanders around and just like responds to the sound of the birthday party. He gets stabbed in the face. And what the changes are, like one of the big changes is he is trying to get to the kids and they have gotten into the van and he can see his own reflection and he has a moment of self-awareness. And I remember us discussing this even when we were talking about Night of the Living Dead, Romero, like the idea, because in that film, the zombies can still kind of use tools. So just the idea of like, is there still humanity in there? And then that's another thing that comes up in Dawn of the Dead. Is like, are these
And
still
Return of the
people? Is it just a virus? Like, could they be saved? And so this guy, even though he is like trying to eat children, has a moment of self-awareness where he remembers who he is, but he's been taken over by this, let's just say, virus or whatever, and can't control it. And so he ultimately kills himself, is able to pull enough strength to kill himself after he butt dials his girlfriend and his like phone goes off and like she's talking to him like she was in the beginning, like, hey, I can't wait for you to get home. So really it wasn't necessarily the girlfriend part, it was the fact that he had self-awareness to know that like I'm doomed, like my only option is to kill myself. That's terrible.
Yeah,
you're not wrong, but at the same time, I don't know, I think that maybe it comes down to the fact that I'm a little numb to these concepts of within the zombie realm. Zombies have been explored so thoroughly that I'm just tired of like it doesn't affect me to think about the how many fucking movies have you seen where it's like, hey, if I get bitten, you better kill me. I don't want to become one of those things or any of those sort of things. And it's just sort of like, it's nothing that I don't think they did anything wrong necessarily, because they gave a clear arc to the character, and it's a short film again. And there's a lot of leeway in this movie that other movies wouldn't get because of the anthology nature of it. So all that said, I just didn't find it sad, because to me, it was just like, okay, well, they needed an ending. This provides, but it's basically by numbers zombies trope,
Well, and I actually think that the choices that they made even combat that idea, because I think we were able to get so much sadness because they used the juxtaposition so well of the comedy. Because you're right, this was like the most comedic one, and like even though there's like kids running around screaming like, oh my god, like you laugh when the dude gets like stabbed in the face with the fork, and like people are trying to show down with these zombies and like failing and stuff, and it is funny. But then I don't know. I think they're able to swing it, and that was just even more impressive to me. So
I don't know. To me, that was the point at which I was just like, okay, yeah, and then this is the end. Where okay, yep, and there's the end.
The real genius of this to me is the sound design, because like, yeah, you got the POV of the zombie, like you are the zombie as far as this short is concerned, but the zombie can't speak, and you're not even looking at him for the most part, so you can't get like his facial expressions or anything like that. So you're just like hearing the zombie grunt, and the way that they are able to convey to the listener what the zombie is feeling through just grunts is like so effective to me. I love it. Like you feel his emotion change throughout the course of this just by how he's grunting, and that's super,
a good point.
Super cool to me. And that's why the ending lands, because you're able to feel what he's feeling, because he like grunts in a sad way, which is like weird and goofy to say, but it's true. Like when he sees himself, he kind of like takes it down a notch, and then when he hears his girlfriend's voice again, it gets even lower, and then he like crawls slowly over to the shotgun and like blows his brains out, and then his head flies into the air, or at least the camera does, and like lands in a certain way where you like see his mangled remains, and it's like super gruesome and also still kind of funny and heartfelt all at the same time. It's got a lot going for it.
To me, this is like the correlation I would make that I was just thinking of is like Evil Dead 2. So in Evil Dead 2, Bruce Campbell's character Ash gets taken over by the Deadite, inhabitors or whatever you want to call them. He gets possessed, and he's like doing all sorts of crazy shit until he finds the necklace that he was giving his girlfriend. And then it turns him back. He all of a sudden, even though he's wearing this crazy makeup, he looks at it and he gives a soft look or whatever and all that stuff. I think it's sad on that level. Whereas, like, I don't think of that as like, man, this movie's sad because of that. I think of it as, man, this is a crazy wackadoo movie, and this is part of the grounding of the movie that you need in order to make those wackadoo parts stand out. Like, I think it's structurally important, but I don't think that it's like, I wouldn't think of this as a sad movie or a sad short, just the way I wouldn't think of Evil Dead as a sad movie, Evil Dead 2.
Yeah. I don't know. It seems super tragic to me. It really does.
Me
but funny at the same time. I don't know.
I think it's a counterbalance, but for me, it doesn't land. It's not something that I would describe as sad. It's not a film or a short film that I would call it.
We're soulless Randy. Okay, so
that's fine.
Where are we gonna put this out of 5, boys?
Rank it,
Randy.
69 dudes.
You've already knocked out your number 5, so
I'm gonna go with 3 on this one. This one's middle of the road on my part of view. Okay. I did think this was a funny fucking short, though. It's just got a cute idea for zombies, and a field that's so crowded with ideas and so crowded with attempts. They took a relatively unique attempt with pretty by numbers rules, shall we say. Internal logic.
Juice?
I'm going to put this one at number deuce. So number deuce for Soju. Bob, where are you going to put this one?
Numero uno. This is my favorite.
Wow.
Number 1.
Yeah.
Shit. That surprises me.
This
did not leave that level of an impression on me.
It's baller. I think it does a lot with real little. I'm a big fan.
I agree.
Big fan of it.
Cool. All right. So that was the second short. Moving into short number 3. What's the title, Bob?
This one is called Safe Haven, directed by, I'm so sorry, Timo Tihanto and Gareth Evans.
Okay. This one is about a film crew. They start off like in a little like restaurant.
They're in Indonesia, is that right?
Yeah, I think it's they're in Indonesia. They're talking. There's a film crew of 4, 3 men and a woman, and they are talking with this leader of a cult, and they're kind of trying to break it down. And he's got like a little defense, like people don't understand us, they vilify us. He's trying to give his like spiel a little bit, and they talk him into letting them come to the compound. So they're like, hey, let us show from it. Like their whole thing is like, let us show you from an unbiased thing, like you want to defend yourself. Like, then let us show it just from a very unbiased sense, which is not true because they are definitely there to expose the situation.
That's just documentary filmmaking right there.
Of course.
That is.
Carol Baskins.
That bitch, Carol Baskin.
That bitch. But they, so they show up, and the main guy, I guess the guy who does the interviews, and the woman who's kind of like the director, kind of.
I'm sorry, you mean the host or whatever.
Yeah. They're in a relationship, but it turns out that she also had an affair with like the camera guy, who they're like best friends. The 2 guys are, and she's pregnant at the time, so we find that out kind of later.
And it's not her fiance's baby.
No, it's not her fiance's. So they go to this cult. It's on this compound, and this just kind of like scraggly building. It looks pretty regular, but they do have to go like down some stairs, and oh man, I was like, oh, you're fucked now. They do go down some stairs, so it's kind of like basement level, and there's a bunch of kids. They're all like dressed in white. It's real creepy. It's definitely not chill. And they go to like do the interview with this guy, and he's like bleeding. And we do see a couple like scenes from like the compound security camera where he like is cutting himself with a box cutter.
Fucked up.
And so they notice that he's like starting to bleed. They all get separated at some point. She's got morning sickness because of her pregnancy, so she has to go to the bathroom. The guy who does the interview, like one of the batteries on the camera is dead, so he goes back to the car. The one dude is left in the room with the like cult leader, and then the other guy goes to like look for the woman, the camera guy who they had an affair with, but they get separated because she like gets mad at him. So they're all separate, and then the cult leader, like the bells ring or whatever, like the time goes, and he's like, it's time for the ascension or whatever. Here we go. And shit just like the sirens start going off.
Oh yeah.
And
things are really pop off hard.
Yeah. It starts fucking going nuts. So a lot of people start killing themselves. But not everybody. Some people are like killing the scragglers with guns. The kids all die at one point. Then like a gaggle of ladies come and grab our pregnant lady, and they drag her off to like deliver a baby.
Satan.
Her baby starts trying to burst forth.
Yeah. The cult leader freaks the fuck out and cuts the camera guy up with the box cutter
for interrupting him. He's like on his intercom, like giving his big speech, and the dude interrupts him, and he just murders the shit.
You know what? That's why you don't be rude.
That's exactly. You wait your turn. You wait your turn.
And then let's see. The camera guy, he finds another woman who looks like she died giving birth. And she's like real fucked up, but then she kind of starts coming back.
She lurches
life.
Forward. Yeah. And then he runs into the host of the show who runs back in, right?
Yeah. So the fiance like is able to see like from the woman's point of view camera, I guess that she had a hidden camera.
A button camera.
Yeah. And that he sees the gaggle of women like carrying her off. So he's like, I'm going in, I'm going back. But he gets picked up from one of the guys who's like killing people with a gun or whatever, and he gets his fucking head blown off with the shotgun. That sucks, like execution style.
Yep. But they don't kill the other guy.
Yeah,
because
he's the father of Satan.
They even say
must be stopped at every opportunity.
They even say it's like an honor to meet you, sir, and like they just totally leave him be. Shit's wild.
Yeah,
It
but
is
you
a lot.
don't like really exactly know yet. And so he's like navigating this area and like you get to see all the wild shit. So people start coming back to life. So the camera guy who had his like throat cut and the guy who had his head blown off eventually
And
comes
the children
back. And the children. And
They sit back in their goddamn desks. I thought that was great.
Yeah, but he finds the girl and he's like beats all the women off or does something.
He beats them all off.
You gotta beat
one at a
them
time.
Beat them off.
You gotta beat them off.
Yeah. And he's trying to save her, but then like Satan bursts out of her stomach, rips her right open. God damn, that's just fucked. And so now there's a demon chasing him. So he's like, holy shit. So he tries to book it out of the basement area. He has to go back through all the fucking like zombie things.
That was awesome. That escape is great, by the way.
It is. It's
where he's
very
like
tense.
booking his ass, and there's just rooms filled with people who you just watch shoot themselves in the head.
Yeah,
and they are all
also-
grabbing at him.
Also, the demon's chasing him because then he'll look back every now and then. You'll see this fucking huge.
Yeah, you
just,
see
like,
the Minotaur.
Satan, like beating people down, and like you hear the boom as I boom, and like the building shakes. He finally gets in the car. He's driving away. He's hauling some ass, but the demon catches up to him, wrecks the car, and then he's like still alive. And he's like crawling out of the car, but the demon's on top of the car, and the demon calls him Papa.
You're a monster.
True. Dude, that man's snot is out of control.
Dude, seriously, the snot blood, it starts intertwining like DNA. It is disgusting. It's really awesome.
It's insane. Like, how was this not
That's a once in a
directed-
lifetime shot.
This was the one that was not directed by Eduardo Sanchez, which confusingly, because Blair Witch Project, snot through the roof. Through the fucking roof.
I mean, yeah, somebody really knows the power of snot.
Maybe he was served as an advisor.
So this is
You need more snot. You gotta get it in there.
So yeah, this has got like a little bit of a Rosemary's Baby vibe, a little bit of it's got cults. It's got a lot. This particular one covers a lot of ground.
It does.
A lot more than I want to say pretty much any of the others, except for maybe
It's the longest one for sure too.
Yeah, and it's still not
takes
very
up a
long.
hefty amount,
but it is definitely the longest. Probably maybe a half hour, maybe. Yeah, I don't think it's
probably
quite
not
that
even
long.
that. Yeah, 25 minutes maybe. Yeah.
But they cover a lot of ground, and they really establish the characters pretty well overall. The little dude who's the dad or whatever, the cult leader, he is so fun to watch. He is he is giving his all in the acting department, and it is super fun to watch him go from like sort of reluctant, fucking, I don't know,
he's kind
interviewee
of timid, or like
this timid dude to just bathing in blood and then popping like a goddamn grape in a microwave and just popping into a blood pile.
Also,
That shit was
before that,
amazing.
when the women are carrying the pregnant lady like to her chamber, he's cut this dude's throat open, so he is like bathed in blood, and he's down to his freaking whitey tighties, and he's just like singing and dancing through the hallways in front of them. That shit was wild, man. It was
That guy was
nuts.
the standout for sure.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of drama going on. Like it's not like particularly groundbreaking drama that's going on. None of the ideas here are all that groundbreaking, but I think the execution is great. And execution is the most appropriate word for this because there's one scene, and they used it in the trailer because it's so fucking effective, and it's definitely the most effective shot I think in this whole anthology is when one of our characters like is running and turns a corner after things start going bad and just sees like 12 guys all hold up a gun to their head and pull the trigger at the same time.
Yeah.
That's like, there's in each of these VHS movies, I remember there's like one shot that I never forget, and it's that one. And this one is so effective because like, oh my God, it's one thing to see one dude do that, but to see like a whole room full of dudes do that is really fucking like overwhelming.
No one ever picks up one of those guns,
dude. I know.
To defend themselves with. There's so many guns you could pick up.
The Papa.
Yeah.
He has the prime opportunity to pick up that, and he doesn't. Instead, he picks up a piece of rebar or something.
Yeah.
And starts beating off people with a rebar.
You gotta beat him off.
He's just beating them off.
You gotta beat him
Gotta
off.
beat him off with rebar. And then, I mean, you had a gun, man. You had many, many guns available to you. I understand being traumatized or whatever, but that's like, save yourself. Save yourself.
I think the coolest like image from this is the actual birthing scene. Like, because we've seen, Rosemary's Baby, movies like this where, the devil is birth of a woman, like an earthly woman.
Yeah.
But like, it's how often do you see like the full size devil bursting out of her stomach? Like, it's not a baby.
Ribs are open. Yeah.
Full
And
size.
for the most part, that Minotaur demon is mostly practical effects. Like I think they CGI a little bit to make his mouth move correctly when he speaks. And, there's a few spots for sure where they use digital trickery, but for the most part, that's a dude in a costume. And it has all the charm of watching old horror movies where a dude in a costume is your bad guy. It's like, it's not quite convincing enough to be full on like realism to you.
Yeah.
But it's also not so poorly done as to be just purely comical. So it strikes this nice balance for me. And I know that people have disagreed with me on that. From what I've read in different reviews or whatever, but that I think that it works really well, and it hits like a really nice pleasure point for B horror movie sort of goodness.
Papa?
That was it's still, man, because I just like love cult segments, and they did throw a lot, so it was like jam packed. So you guys talked about two completely different scenes that are absolutely iconic and were your favorites, and I understand why they were. I liked another one where the dude pops out, the freaking crazy guy, and he's got the carvings all over his fucking body. They carved into his fucking torso with the box cutter. He's got this like sinister, fucked up grin on his face, which they also use this in the trailer. And then he fucking explodes in front of your face. Pieces of him go flying everywhere. That shit is bananas.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yes.
Oh, you did it.
My favorite cult of all time, I gotta say, is it's Cult 45.
Yeah.
Number one.
Yes, the same word.
Yes.
Shall we rank this one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Bob, why don't you start with you? You don't get to go first often.
Okay, yeah, sure. This is my numero dos. Numero dos.
Okay. All right.
Randy?
All right.
For me, it's number one, and from what I've read, that seems to be a general consensus that this is most people's favorite. But that's just based on my, what I've seen. So who knows?
All right. Juice?
It is my favorite. This is my number one, and the only beef I had was the Papa thing at the very end. I wasn't about it.
Yeah.
Because it's all the rest of it's played pretty straight. I mean, even when the Minotaur is like running through the hallways, like it's got the boom and it's like kind of scary. And when you see it, like just when you're staring it in the face and it talks and it says Papa, then it's like, God damn it. Like, I don't know. It's just a little too cheesy.
I could see that being a bridge too far. Yeah.
Not scary.
Yeah.
Not scary.
I do want to point out, I do want one more call out for this movie. I also want to point out how cool it was that this movie allowed our basically our final girl, who is the Papa. He allows him to full on escape from the compound. Like, he doesn't just get to the door; he gets on the road and he is zooming down. He's probably a couple miles away from the compound by the time the fucking Minotaur swipes his ass off the road by spearing him like Goldberg. It's fucking great. I thought that was really awesome because like in most movies it would have been like an indicator, like, okay. It was just like a false sense of security that really landed for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, all right. That's the third one we've covered. Let's head into the slumber party.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
This one is called Slumber Party Alien Abduction, which is absolutely what happens.
That is,
all right. Yeah. Okay.
Not really beating around the bush on that.
Directed by Jason Eisner. So, we got some shitty little kids, like, I don't know, 10 to 12.
Really
reminded me of us.
Yeah, 100%. Except, like, they definitely are creeping on their sister banging, which is weird. That's a weird thing to do.
Well, I don't have a sister, so that's not me.
Dude,
It ain't
Must
me,
have been
baby.
y'all.
let me tell you, that'd be weird to do. Let me tell you.
Yeah, just on a fundamental level, it's a little odd.
Yeah.
Unless you're on Pornhub, and apparently it's perfectly normal there because motherfuckers all over that
That is
shit.
just regular, everyday occurrence.
That's just part of the deal over there. I don't know what's going on at Pornhub.
That's stepsister.
No kink shame.
So that's a different
Oh,
thing, right?
yeah.
I believe that's
Artlessly explained. La
I
Cousin's
believe-
Dangeroo.
I believe that's what they
Papa.
call European style.
I think so. You covered it. It's fine.
No, it's a real missed opportunity bump, man.
Fuck it.
Fuck it. There's
Maybe I'm stupid.
There you go.
No,
I think that wasn't a missed opportunity at all.
That's not appropriate.
Oh no. Not taken back.
There's a pretty solid Cooter in this movie, which is the girlfriend's boyfriend. I don't even know his fucking name. He's like,
Yeah, he fits the Cooter mold, and I think it's clear that they're trying to put him there.
yeah. Which I guess we'll get to that. But he's a real piece of shit.
So-
He comes over.
Well, let's talk about the set. So there's parents and they leave their kids.
Yeah.
Essentially, like for the weekend. It's the high school girl. She's supposed to be studying. Of course, she brings over like 4 friends. One of them's her boyfriend. And then you have like 4 shitty, 12-year-old boys. They're all boys, doing shitty things. So
All bunch of suburban white boys at 12.
filling
Nothing
up
good's gonna happen.
pee balloons and all kind of shit.
Did they pee in the balloon? Because I totally
yeah.
didn't
One of them
realize.
did.
At least
He's
one of them did.
Okay.
He's like, yeah, don't fill my cock, dude.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
he was
I
like
missed
filling
that.
it up.
They got super soakers, and I guess they're throwing
And
piss balloons.
Also, hang on to talk about the fact that they did pee in the balloons. At one point later, the boyfriend is chasing them because he's like fed up. He's had enough. And he says, I've tasted your piss. Now I'm going to taste your blood. And I was like, wait a second.
Like nothing I'd ever smelled before.
Wait a second.
that's not a threat that works.
Yeah.
That's
not a threat that is very threatening so much as it is very pathetic.
I can
So
describe.
hitting Cooter
your
points
urine.
already.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's that, and then like the little brothers.
I'd be stroking.
He's stroking off. in this
No?
movie.
Oh,
Like,
wow, okay.
There's a lot of allusions to child cock in this particular
That
segment.
kid is masturbating like in the middle of a circle
his
of his
friend-
friends who are asleep.
If
Well,
I
that's
found out that any of you guys ever did that at a fucking sleepover that we had,
Dude.
you would not be friends with me anymore.
Let me just say,
Randy, I guess this cast is
Last
canceled
episode
then.
of the podcast, I guess.
let me go on record and say when we lived
We're
together for
gonna get
roughly
arrested.
we lived together for roughly 5 years, and every single night you fell asleep, I was masturbating by your head. Let me just say that right now
Damn.
on record. So sorry.
Okay. Well,
All right,
sour grapes, I guess.
you've tasted my urine, Randy. That's what I'm saying.
Taste my blood.
I want to point out. That there's no proof of that. There is no tape.
What do you guys think about the design of the aliens? Like it's sort of like a classic.
I don't like it.
Gray.
I don't either.
Yeah, it's not.
They
That's my
really
biggest
fucked
complaint
up.
with this segment.
They
Yeah.
really fucked up.
And I understand why, like they wanted to go with the classic gray.
Yeah.
They wanted to go with the classic gray, but the thing is, the classic grays are not inherently scary once you take them off of like a police sketch drawing and
Now-
put them into the real world.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that we get a little tease scare where so they live on a lake and the boys are attacking like the older teens. They throw like some water balloons and they jump into the water. And because the camera like tilts down, but it's not from the kid's like face, it's he's just like holding it or something. And you see that they're creeping under the water. Now that was solid.
Yeah.
But
Totally
when
agree.
so at some point though, so the grays just lit like as soon as like it gets dark, where they just like blindly like attack. They're just like, fuck it, we're going for it. They just like start coming into the house, sweeping people away, and they're just like walking around, and it looks dumb as shit.
They're overlit. Like you see way too much.
way
of them.
overlit.
They're way overlit.
Yeah,
It's a
and their
problem.
thing is, like,
limbs
they
are
don't
way
show-
too long and goofy looking.
Yeah.
Like their fingers, it just looks fucking
I mean, that's
stupid.
that's what they're supposed to be, and I think it's this is almost like an attempt to legitimize that as scary, like these like the classic tail version of the Greys, but it just doesn't work that well, especially when you show a lot of them, like Rob was saying. And even when they do show it, they're trying to like conceal a little bit. They're using strobe lights. They're, having, people turn away really quickly and all this shit, but it's not enough. Like they show too much for me, and they show it multiple times. Like all the like trickery in the world doesn't really conceal that looks like a really skinny dude in a gray onesie. Like that, it doesn't really hide it from me. So
also there's like one point where they're hiding from them. They've escaped the house and they're like hiding behind some trees. They could see them, like they were chasing them or whatever. And they're just like all chilling around. There's like 3 of them, and they're like, where did they go?
Yeah,
like the Greys. They're like looking around. Like,
they had a full on which way did they go moment.
Yeah, they're full on shooting them like lit pretty well. I'm like, oh my god, somebody just really.
Can you have them through some bushes or something? Like, and that's the thing is like they could also, the kids could definitely have been seen, especially with fucking cameras with red lights and shit on them, which is what a GoPro is.
Yeah,
I don't know. And but then that's followed by one of the cooler things, which I thought was awesome, which is they hear a siren or a car siren,
set a trap,
and then flashing lights, and they run over to it, but it's not. And then like just the light just shuts down all at once, and the alarm.
That was cool.
That was fucking awesome.
The thing is, I agree. I was frustrated by this because I actually liked the setup of this. It felt almost the most authentic, like with the kids, fucking around with the sisters and stuff. And I liked when they jumped in the water, and even this, like the sound that it made, like the wah, like I think it kind of goes back to some. Yeah, the like War of the Worlds type of stuff, like with like wah, and like, and then when they start busting the house and like take people away, that was still effective. So like up until the halfway point of this, I'm like, okay, this is solid. And then they just show those fucking aliens just like, it's so bad. Yeah.
It really is a spoiling.
This can be done effectively because it has been done effectively by M. Night Shyamalan and Signs. Basically, he takes like the Greys.
That's true, actually, yeah.
And he makes it scary because he doesn't show you too much. They show you too much in this, man. And I don't know. One thing that this short does that is pretty cool and super original, I think, is whenever they strap the GoPro to the dog. I think that's a really neat idea. The dog is running around. They're not necessarily trying to abduct the dog, but he does end up getting like sucked into the sky eventually. I just think that's a really, really cool like POV shot, which
I agree.
They play around with that in this.
I still think that like this is this is going to be my biggest problem with the overall anthology is that almost none of these movies actually feature people filming in VHS and VHS noise and all those things that this movie is supposedly doing. The first one did that for the most part. I think there was maybe one that was digital, but I don't remember exactly. It's been a while. But in this one, I don't think any of them are actually filmed native VHS. And to me, it's like, okay, these are good shorts. And I understand the concept. Okay, make another found footage anthology. You don't have to call it VHS. Like you don't have to.
Yeah.
To me, it's a quibble.
The success. Yeah.
It's building up the success, but you like if it's the same director doing another anthology, and instead of doing franchising the one anthology, just making a series of anthologies with different approaches and different tacks. I think that's just as legitimate. Like I don't know that it's gonna lose that much of its audience, but it's V8. If you say VHS, you're evoking a certain aesthetic, and this movie doesn't deliver that aesthetic really. So that's just kind of disappointing to me because I like that. I like the first one, and I like it in other movies that do similar things. And this movie just sort of abandons it. It does interesting things in like in the individual rights of their own movies or the short films, but it just doesn't. It doesn't cohere to the name for me. It's a small quibble, but it annoys me.
Apparently, all of these things were at some point transferred to VHS from digital because they are actually putting VHS into a player and like watching them on the tube
within
TVs.
the logic of the movie, but it doesn't look like it.
It does.
You're right.
And that's
behave like it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like even the guy does technically explain it, which we'll get into with the final segment. But he's like, "Yeah, I found this in a tape." He's like, "It's like sixth." Like generation or where essentially it's been like copied over like for the sixth or like 6 different
copied
ways
6 times,
at least. So yeah, I mean they do try to at least explain it.
Yeah, it's not that it's not explained. It's just that it's disappointing to me because I like that aesthetic. To me, like there's a lot you can do with VHS's specific kind of fear factor. Like when you watch a horror movie on VHS, all of the detail that you lose actually can enhance certain horror movies. And there's an opportunity to play with that again here. If you're going to call it VHS, play with that more.
It would enhance
instead
this
of just
segment.
Right. And instead this abandons the idea of VHS as an aesthetic and instead embraces just found footage. And entirely that's the premise at this point. It just kind of, I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, so this movie does that. But I do like the dog. I do like that they follow the dog. I was heartbroken that this fucking short ends with the dog being dropped from a great distance and dying on camera.
Yeah.
Gutsy, because that can win or lose a lot of people.
Yeah. It's sad. It is sad. But it's also
it bummed me out.
I was already so pulled out of this segment by the time that the dog died that I didn't buy into the dog's death. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it feels so unbelievable and like goofy and weird. I don't know.
Also, they do weird jumps too. Like when they're in the house, and then they're out on the dock all of a sudden, it felt too fast. Like to get from the house to the dock, I was like, wait, it was like a little disorienting, which I know is kind of the point for found footage, but it didn't make logical sense to go from the house to the lake. That
several of the movies do that. Like Safe Haven did that too. Like they somebody edited this footage together.
Sure.
If it's truly found footage and it's five cameras worth of footage that somebody put together.
Yeah.
So, that happens in this too.
Shall we go ahead and rank this one?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Randy. Bob. Oh, no.
Oh, my God. It's real Russian roulette.
MD.
I'm putting it at 2. I'm just going to start.
Okay.
All right.
Putting it at
2.
Second fave. Yep.
You monster.
Wow.
No.
Okay. Juice, what about you?
This is my number 4. Bob,
all right.
Where do you want to put this one?
This is my number 5.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
We are all over the map on this one.
And this, I can see why though, because there's something like with this particular one, not only is all the things we already talked about, but the realism of the kids is maybe almost too much realism because it's almost impossible to find them likable on any level where you care if they survive. They're almost too unlikable is the problem.
One of the kids does say like, we're going to make your sister so mad she's going to shit out of her vag, and that made me like the kids. I was way on board.
Because of the implication.
They acted like this one had the most realistic characters, I guess, because those kids played it so well. I thought.
Well, they didn't hold back. Those kids were cursing up a storm, and I've given there are some movies that can get away with that and some that can't. But there's no fantastical nature to the childhoods of these kids.
Yeah.
Which only adds to the immersion of a found footage sort of movie. So that's a good thing in this particular case.
It was. It didn't feel like the kid cursing in the Stranger Things kid, where it's just
Summer of '84.
Yeah, it felt legit, really legit.
But that felt like somebody's actual footage that you'd find on your fucking YouTube every day of the week.
That kid just trying to film his sister banging it out and also masturbating in a crowd of his friends who are asleep.
I be stroking.
Yeah, he be stroking. It's a little much. It's a little weird.
Yeah.
All right.
That's tell me how necessary that was. Also, that's
yeah.
You're making full grown adults watching this a little less than entertained and just uncomfortable. We're entering territory that nobody wants to really be in.
Yeah.
True.
Here's looking at you, Jason Eisner. All right.
Yeah.
Jason.
We got one more. Oh yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
You guys, I was just
going to say my number 2. It's my number 2, and the reason I wanted to just say that again because I say that knowing all of the complaints I just made, and that's kind of telling of the level of quality that this movie has overall. It's got good ideas, good thoughts, some good execution, some bad writing, some good writing. It's just kind of all over the place. So it's really coming down to feels over reels when it comes to placing some of these.
I gotcha.
Okay.
All right. We got one more to work through. This is going to be the sort of wraparound segment. It's called Tape 49. This one was directed by Simon Barrett, who often works with Adam Wingard. He's primarily a writer. This is one of the very few things he's ever directed. So yeah, this one's kind of hard to rank in review because it's splintered in so many ways.
Yeah.
The others aren't. generally speaking, I think it does a pretty good job wrapping everything together. It even like works in some random scares, like in between the segments where we've got like the college kid whom they are searching for is just like lurking in the shadows.
I thought that was effective. Yeah.
And we get some footage of him. He's like sort of recording a testimonial on the laptop that they come into the house and find. And he's talking about like these VHS tapes that he bartered for in like Little Armenia. And if you watch these tapes in a certain segment or like a certain sequence, I guess, like something will happen. And he tries to commit suicide or like sacrifice himself, and he fails.
He says he's going to make his own tape. He's like at the very end, he's like, and now I'm going to make my own tape. Thanks for watching. And he pulls out a gun, shoots himself, falls back, then like slowly like lurches up, and then hears that people are trying to like get into the house, which is where we kind of start this movie.
Yeah.
And like runs off into the bedroom where we know like one of the main characters has been like searching for a while. And then we see like the two main characters come in as we like from a different perspective of how we followed them into the house. So this like shit just like has been happening. So that's a pretty good like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
It is like if he attempted to commit suicide and he blew his fucking lower jaw clean off, and they walked into the house like a minute or two after that happened, they see like a single speck of blood on the wall, and that's it. Mm-hmm. There would be blood everywhere.
I've seen like Dexter. I know how this goes.
Right?
They would have like heard the gunshot. Probably.
Too.
No, they do. They do. Kind of, because at the very beginning we do like the girl's like, what was that or something, and he's like, what? I didn't hear anything. She's like, I heard something inside there. He's like, well, I'm going in anyway. And it's like, no. There's no muffling a shotgun 2 rooms away so much that you can't tell that you heard anything or not.
Yeah, where's his jaw at? Like the pieces of jaw would be everywhere.
Yeah. It would be a huge mess. But apparently none of that is laying around, and they watch these VHS tapes.
It's an evil mess, so it hides itself.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome if he was like scooping it up.
Oh, shit. Sweeping it
up. Clean up my mess.
God.
I guess they watch the tapes in a specific sequence that causes the chick, the private investigator who's a female, she like gets possessed or something and starts crawling around.
Suddenly loves crab walking.
Yeah, I thought, okay, so there was a couple different, so she's watching the tapes, and mostly the guy watches like the last one, but so she's regular, then she watches one, she kind of gets entranced, he like comes in and is like, hey, what you doing? She like gets out of it. Then so the first one she's just kind of tranced, and then we see the dude kind of like creeping around in the background. The second time, then she like gets a migraine, and then she starts bleeding, and he has to leave the house to go get her like some medicine. Then she pops in another one. When he comes back the third time, after the third segment, then did she shoot herself? Because he comes back into the house and her like head is bleeding, and he's like, babe, no, babe. And
I think she shot herself.
Then he pops in a tape. Instead of like calling the police, he pops in a VHS tape.
That's the seduction of VHSs. Duh.
And then after the final segment the final tape has been done to finish out the movie, then she becomes possessed because he watches that the dude like blew his face off, and it's like, oh my God. So he like goes to invest, and then the girl like comes back to life, and then he goes to hide, but he hides in the closet where the guy is.
The dude is hiding.
The jawless guy. This segment was.
It's a little confused.
Dumb.
Yeah.
I thought it was dumb as shit.
See, my biggest issue with it is like some of those things work, some of them don't. But the main issue I had is that this is pretty goddamn similar to the wraparound in VHS 1, like to the point where it almost shouldn't.
I thought the first one was much better.
I agree, because it was fresh, and that was like the main key difference.
Yeah.
Like in this case, it's like it's hard to be that invested in this because it's so much of the same from the previous entry. It's like, I mean, I understand that it's just the wraparound and it gets a little bit of leeway for that purpose. but it just doesn't. Like it's the part I want to skip, you know what I mean? Like more than any other segment. Even the ones I rank at, like even the eye trial or whatever, I'd still rather watch that than watch like a little mid segment of this, purely because I've seen it and done better. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't mind.
The mystery ain't there.
I don't mind the interstitials at all, but one thing that I definitely did not focus on was the fact that when dude comes in and she's passed out, he does watch a whole nother tape and then watches video on the laptop instead of like just trying to get her help. He's
acting like a character in a video game instead of an actual person. It's just like, I got better investigate instead of doing anything actually productive to save my girlfriend's life.
I appreciate the scares that this thing sets up, especially because they've got like, a minute or two to squeeze a scare in. And most of the time they're pretty spooky. Like that's really difficult to do. So I gotta like, give credit where credit's due, but towards the end, it doesn't make any sense. Like he's not going to sit down and watch like another 30 minutes of video and just let his friend
and he hasn't been watching the tapes. The girlfriend has, so he should be zero affected.
He
walks in on his girlfriend who is, even if she didn't shoot herself, is badly hurt. And he pops in a tape.
You need to get your ass out of, like, even if you're worried about the police, like, it's time to go. And some level, you ain't sticking around.
Yeah.
The fuck are you doing?
I like how it ends on sort of a goofy note, like the chick's, dead or possessed or whatever, and she's crawling around, and then the jawless college kid comes back and ends up murdering the other dude, and he just the movie ends by him, but the jawless college kid giving a massive thumbs up to the camera. That's how it ends. That is ridiculous, but I like it.
69 dudes.
69 dudes.
Yeah.
That's what he would have said if he had a jaw.
That's a lot of dudes. That's almost 70 dudes.
69 dudes.
Man, that's a goddamn ton of dudes.
Should we go ahead and rate this one? Rank this one rather?
Let's rank it.
Rank it. Randy, rank it. What you got?
This one for me was number 4, and whatever positive effects it had for the most part was counteracted by the fact that this is not different enough from the wraparound in the first one for me.
Gotcha. Juice, what about you?
This is number 5 for Juice Stains. I did not care for this one. I thought it was a weak wraparound. The characters I didn't give two shits about. The only the background scares were pretty nicely done. And then when the dude shoots his jaw off, at least it was different from the other segments we had seen. So it's more gore based, and you're like, oh fuck, because that dude's tongue is hanging out. And so, and then when the girl's crawling around, it doesn't make a lick of sense, but it's kind of effective. Especially when he goes to hide in the closet and the jawless guy's in there and then his tongue's still hanging out. So, it was effective in a very minimal sense, but for the most part, it was just kind of a big wet fart. And it I don't know. I didn't care too much about it.
And the robotic words of Glenn Howerton.
It was pretty good. It was all right. It wasn't great, but it was fine.
All right. Yeah. I wouldn't even say it was fine, but yeah. Bob, how do you feel about this one?
Let me tell you. The wraparound segment is always the most difficult segment. It's damn near impossible to make a good wraparound segment. And the fact that this one doesn't completely suck ass is good enough for me. It even lands some scares. Its primary job is to contain the movie, to connect the remainder the remaining segments and make them sort of make sense. That's its primary job, and then secondary to that is to try and be its own scary thing, its own scary story. I think it connects everything fine, and it manages to scare. There's some dumb shit, but the dumb shit is there because they have to squeeze in another segment. They have to do it, or else they don't have a movie. So it gets somewhat of a pass for me. It's not great, but it's pretty solid, so it's going to clinch the number 4 spot for myself.
Clinching the number 4 spot is tape 49.
Tape 49.
So before we hang on, before we give the overall score for the movie, can we can we remember our top 5? Can we run down our top 5s again?
Yeah, sure. So you start, Juice.
So my number 1 was The Cult. My number 2 was
Safe
the
haven.
zombie. My number 3 was the eyeball seeing dead people.
Eyeball kid.
My number 4 was the Greys, and my number 5 was the wraparound. Bob.
Bob, go ahead.
My number 1 was the zombie, A Ride in the Park. My number 2 was Safe Haven. My number 3 was the Clinical Trials. My number 4 was Tape 49, which was the wraparound, and my number 5 was the Slumber Party Alien Abduction.
All right, and Randy.
Mine were so my favorite was Safe Haven, the cult. My second favorite was Slumber Party Alien Abduction, which is self-described. Ride in the Park was my number 3. That's our zombie flick. And Tape 49 was my number 4, the wraparound. And Phase 1 Clinical Trials, the Eyeball Kid, is number 5.
Wow, we were all This is wild. We were all over the place.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's pretty telling that this is, like just you were saying at the beginning, it's kind of a grab bag, because anthologies, a good anthology can be like all one solidified tone, or it can be a grab bag of different tones that gives, different appeals to different people. So
yeah.
Sweet deal.
All right, something for everyone.
Let's rate this thing. The whole movie out of 5. We're rating this grab bag. Randy, you're going last. Juice, you're going to kick us off.
Okay.
Out of 5.
All right.
How you feel about VHS2?
I like this movie. I think it does a great job as an anthology, and I think it does a great job with found footage. I feel like even though the segments are very different in their subject matters, I feel like I don't have a problem with them gelling. With like the different directors, like it doesn't like I don't know. I feel like even like Creep Show, sometimes the tones just don't completely match up. And here I felt like they were pretty consistent, but not to say they're all like 100%, but in their just general tone and quality, they were fairly consistent amongst each other. So it feels like a pretty solid whole piece. And I don't know. I dig it. I think it has grown on me over the years. I place it over VHS1, which I also think is a good anthology slightly. And mainly it's because my 2 biggest ones, like I think it's got just general overall better segments, like individually. So I think the cult one, like it was my number 1, and the zombie one, number 2, are some of the best that the series has ever created. Like if I had to compare it to VHS1, like we did it all together, those still might be my number 1 and 2s, like amongst everything. So I think that's why it really kind of stands out for me. Those individual segments are so strong to me. And even though the wraparound is weak, I dig watching this. So I'm going to give it a 3.5 plus a half star for the Yabos, because we do get several Yabos in this anthology. So it's going to end at a 4 for me.
Damn.
All right. Pretty high praise from the Juice.
Wow.
Yeah, but Robert,
Yo.
How are you feeling overall?
Pretty good. I like this movie, generally speaking. The weakest segment, obviously, because we already covered it, is the alien abduction slumber party thing. It feels pretty weak and just doesn't feel like it belongs amongst the rest of the segments, really. I don't know. There's a little bit of humor when it comes to the clinical trials and the zombie bike ride deal, and then you get to the third segment, and it's just like it's like a gut punch, man. When you see that like demon get birthed, it just like totally rips all comedy out of this movie, and you're like, oh shit, here we are. Like we have arrived. Bob. Yeah, he does say Papa, and it's a little bit
kidding.
goofy.
I'm sorry.
But like that's sort of like your ass falls out of your pants at that scene. You like I don't know.
Shit, my ass.
You lose your ass. You're like, holy fuck. Okay, this shit just got real. And then you have this goofy ass sequence where these shitty kids are making jokes and masturbating, and then like you got these goofy grays walking around. They look just bad, man, and it just like kind of wrecks the whole ass end of this movie. It fucks up like the delicate balance of an anthology for me, and it's so hard. It's so hard to manage it. It really is. I think VHS1 does manage that better than this, but I still enjoy this movie for everything that it offers. I think it's a pretty solid fucking movie. Bloody Disgusting finally did something pretty okay, so we gotta give
burning those bridges down.
Wow.
I do not like that soundbite. You should never use that again.
Biologically, you shouldn't.
Biologically, I don't.
Delete that one. Yeah, and I dig. God damn it! I dig that this has sort of become sort of like a who's as far as like horror movie directors are concerned. At the time, they were sort of like getting their names out there, with the exception of Sanchez. Everybody knew who he was. But everybody else was just sort of like, getting their names out there. Wingard and Barrett. Like, I love seeing them just grow. And you can see like how talented they are early on in watching these shorts. And I think that's super, super cool. I dig this movie. I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. Recommend. Randy, how you feel out of 5?
So my overall feeling towards this movie is similar to what you guys are saying, that it's a good dissection of like different things for people to like in horror films. I want to talk about it on its whole, though. I want to talk about it on its whole. On the whole.
Get on that hole, Randy.
On the whole. 1 second. Am I coming in okay on my mic, Bob?
Yeah, you sound good.
Okay, so I just switched it off by mistake. I want to make sure it's still using the right mic. Okay, sorry, you can trim that.
Nope.
Yeah, so I would agree with Rob that the way this movie ends with the slumber party alien abduction is a mistake. I think that and the safe haven should definitely have been swapped, because the slumber party starts with shitty kids, and that would come in just after the bike ride with bike ride zombies, comes in with the shitty kids, ends with the dog dying, so you're already on a down note, leading into this safe haven thing, which is all serious and all button up. It would have saved the whole arc of the film for me.
Yeah.
Overall, I think that like it's just like this is what a good anthology is to me, this sort of thing. And I don't think that it's better than VHS1 for my money. I think that overall each segment in VHS1 and the just the general premise and the way they approached it was more engaging for me. And I also liked that they adhered, for the most part, with one major exception at least, that they adhered to the idea that it was not just found footage, but it was VHS found footage.
Yeah.
And this movie doesn't really do that. There's a lot of missed opportunities that happen because of that. And I don't mind an anthology series centered around that, certainly, because I like this overall. But the fact that it's called VHS, I really wanted it to be something that it turned out not to be, especially after, for the most part, the first movie did have those elements. So I have an issue with that. For each segment, I mean, I think that Safe Haven is clearly the standout, and I don't see any way that it gets topped by anything else. But the other four, and I have very minor quibbles with that one, but the other four segments, the other four bits, they all have sort of like glaring flaws that you can point to. And I just don't think Safe Haven has that. But that is also in keeping with the first VHS movie, which also had several segments with glaring flaws, and maybe one that is absolutely the standout, which I think is the one that people think of the most, which is that Halloween, the one they closed on.
The last one. Yeah.
The last one, which
so good.
For this movie, that one is Safe Haven, but they don't close on it. They don't end on their strongest note. And that's a huge misstep. So, just trying to piece it all together as a whole, I think that it really suffers from that, the tonal whiplash you get in those two segments. And I think that retreading the tape whatever the wraparound segment. I understand the impulse to do that. I understand that you're franchising this and you want to have something similar, but you want to have it at least distinctive. And this doesn't seem distinctive enough for me. It's not as transgressive of shitbags that get their comeuppance like in the first one. It's not like a creepy old man you don't see off screen. It's a college kid that you see explaining his point of view on camera. Like, I don't know. It fails on levels that the first one succeeded at. So it really, really sinks because of that. I guess overall, I have issues with this one. It's not as good as the first one to me. It's, as I recall, better than the third one. It's going to land at I only saw that once though. So, but this is going to land at a 3 for me. I could go higher, but I think that's accurate to the general feeling I have towards each segment, as well as the overall cadence of everything put together and how they put it together.
Okay.
Sweet deal. That is going to
Bob, easy math for you this week.
I don't even need a quackulator. That's going to... The aggregate's going to land at a 3.5. Let's go ahead and jump over to our Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users think about VHS2.
Certified fresh to death.
Oh yeah, let's talk about VHS2 on Rotten Tomatoes. This segment is where I am going to allow these two gentlemen the chance to guess, to the best of their ability, between 0% and 100% what the critics score aggregate is and the user score aggregate is on RottenTomatoes.com. So we're going to start with the critics, as we usually do. There are 64. There are only 64 critic reviews on this.
So
movie.
Close.
Yeah, -5.
It's almost the comedy number. Almost 5 off. If five critics want to review this, go ahead and do it. Put it on Rotten Tomatoes. Make our day.
We got 3 right here.
Juice, why don't we start with you? What do you think the critics' consensus is on this percentage-wise?
Okay. I think this is probably going to be an extra medium. Give me the 69. I want it.
Ooh, 69 dudes.
Yeah.
The comedy number is in play.
Me and the critic numbers, you know. I gotta.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's their fault that you chose that.
They teased me, and now I want the full thing. 69.
69 dudes.
Thank you.
Bobby, how about you?
I would like to take 70 dudes, please.
70. Whoa. $1 Bob.
One up me, Bob, huh?
One more dude.
Well,
thank you.
Well,
you want one more dude than me?
One more dude.
I have a ring-a-ding-ding for us here, boys.
Oh,
shit. One of you gentlemen is going to get all of the dudes you requested.
I want all of them.
Bob, I hope you got room for 70 dudes in your house because you took it.
Wow.
Bring it on,
$1 Bob.
Rigatoni.
Yes. Congratulations to you, Bob. The critics' consensus is as follows. It's as scattershot as its predecessor, but VHS2 rounds up enough horror filmmaking talent to deliver a satisfyingly nasty, albeit uneven, dose of gore. I think that's fair enough to say.
Man,
yeah.
They better all be virgins. That's all I'm saying.
What?
Okay. I want a clean peen, all right, boys?
The fuck are you talking about?
All right. Bob is sober as a judge.
Bob has laid down the gauntlet. If you don't clean your peen, he don't want it. Keep that peen clean. A service announcement from your boy Bob.
Dirty old Rob over here.
From
no 70 Virgins Bob.
House. No dirty peen in my house. That's for fucking sure.
Well, I do that.
Hashtag clean your peen.
Hashtag clean your peen. Is our Hotline Scream this week. Do you clean your peen? Do you clean your peen enough? Is your peen squeaky clean?
That sounds like a tick on Bob's Cooter radar. Bob gets a little tick there.
I get a tick for wanting a clean peen?
You just got a sand unit
Bob.
rating. Whoa,
yeah. 70 virgin men.
Everybody's allowed
pains.
Everybody's allowed a fluctuation or two, but Bob, you watch your ass.
Hey.
All right, especially around those 70 clean peens.
Cleanliness, godliness, whatever. You know, let's continue.
Whatever.
Let's continue.
What?
Cleanliness, godliness, whatever. All right, Bob, since you're so high and mighty off your big win, why don't we start with the audience score for you? 11,856 users have scored this. What do you think they gave it, aggregate?
I'm going to take a +1 dudes and go 71, please.
71 dudes. You're really trying to get all the dudes with the clean peens, huh?
One at a time.
All right, Juice.
I'm going to take it lower with the 65.
65. Whoa, you're teasing yourself. In a second, you're going to have to scream the number 69 out loud.
Dudes.
Dudes. Juice, you're going to reclaim some glory here. It is 51% audience.
Wow.
No, so not something for everybody, apparently.
Yeah, probably not enough for everybody.
Yeah. I think that we and a lot of horror fans give anthologies in general a lot more leeway because of the nature of making short films.
They're tough.
Yeah,
that's fair. But see, here's the thing I like about it, though, and I know we do give it more credit, but how many of these movies, if they were made into full-length movies, would be like, this would be so much better as a 20-minute short because they should not, and it would just make it shittier.
I totally agree. Like a lot of, these short films are made to be short, and it shows. Like you don't need a fucking hour and a half of a dude wandering around with a GoPro on his head as a zombie.
Yeah.
That's unnecessary, but it is cool to see, and this gives it untethers a lot of those things that a full-length feature would tether you down to.
Yeah.
So, all right. There's your critics and users. There's not a whole lot of funny negative reviews. They're all pretty staid. So we'll skip them.
4 people need to review it negatively so we can get a 69 and get some funny negative reviews in
69, dudes.
Do our bidding, world.
Do it.
Dudes.
Do we have any trivia, Juice?
It's very light. There's one thing I want to bring up because I think Bob actually might be able to shed some light on it. So you can do the bump if you'd like.
It's totally time for trivia.
Let's do it.
Okay, so this piece of trivia was confusing to me, but I feel like I have heard this term before from Bob. So I would like to clarify real quick.
Okay.
This trivia says, widely considered one of 3 cornerstone mumble gore motion pictures, a subgenre of mumble gore popularized by the original VHS. What the fuck is that talking about?
So I think that's referencing mumblecore, which was a flash in the pan subgenre that people don't really reference a whole lot anymore. Apparently, at least I don't see a lot of movies using that.
You remember when
self-descriptor.
Randy changed his name to Bob? Do you remember that? When that happened?
What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, I agree with Randy.
Rob, did you think that he was addressing a question just to you and I was to sit quietly behind you?
No.
But I'll stay 6 feet behind you, master, sir. Yes.
I legit did not understand.
I didn't either. I just got there.
I did. It
Bob,
did sound...
That was a question addressed to both of us.
I did say Bob, I think.
He did. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
To be fair.
When I was going to answer.
All right, well.
But yeah, what Randy said.
I was legit just confused. I was like, what the fuck is he talking about?
It did sound like you asked me a question, but maybe that's just me.
I think I did.
Okay.
I'll sit down and sit down right back in my spot.
Sit down,
here,
Randy.
Yes,
Shut up.
Yes, sir.
Well,
right,
I'm not trying to be a dick.
Can you shed any more light?
No, I mean, yeah, mumblecore, just super low budget, but it's in the horror genre, so they changed the C to a G to mumblegore. That's it.
I gotcha.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know what
what
mumblecore
the
is?
other 3 cornerstone? Like, did you know?
I'm guessing it's VHS the franchise they're suggesting.
That was my thought. No idea. Maybe the first 2 anyway. The third one, I would imagine not. But
I don't know what what the fuck is that? What is it? It sounds like
it's like any Duplass Brothers movies. It's like
it's the Duplass movie.
Yeah, it's like a super low budget, like super minimalist cast. There's like 2, 3, maybe 4 people in it. You're shooting a movie for like $80,000. 60 grand. Like it's mainly about just like dialogue, like interpersonal drama and dialogue. And that's what it is.
And they go for naturalism. This is like, I think I'm looking at the Wikipedia and it's giving me some good info on this, but like basically what you're looking for with mumblecore is, people talking like they naturally speak to each other, as in, not everybody takes turns. They'll talk over each other and ignore something that somebody says.
That never
it's like
happens
an actual
in real life.
Never.
Nope, never has happened. But
never.
I've never heard it happen.
What are you talking about?
And mumblegore, it happens.
Never heard of it.
I see. Okay. All right.
Aren't you being a little stupid?
Thank you, Bob, for shedding some light.
Hey, you're welcome. Now I just feel like a dick.
I'm
gonna be sitting in the fuck myself corner.
I was like, what the fuck?
All right.
That shows how oblivious I am.
If this is how you're gonna treat your 70 dudes, I don't think you deserve them, buddy.
My God.
Those peens better not be clean.
Somebody's peen is not clean, Randy. Rob knows.
That's a filthy
the
peen.
peen of Bob's soul is a filthy peen.
It's a filthy peen. Do you have any other trivia, Juice?
No, nothing that's interesting.
Okay. Well, let us move on. Let's go. Okay, we got to go hunting. God damn, there's some cooters, and we're gonna hunt them. Let's do it.
All right, Bob, you clearly have a high. Oh wait, no, sorry, you got to tell us what that is.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Run it down, Juice.
All right, Cooter of the Week. What is the Cooter? Straight chillin' exclusive. So we are talking a character type that we call the Cooter. Some people call it something else. We'll dive into that in just a second. But first, let's hunt some Cooters. Cooters have to hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered the Cooter, and we are looking for the highest ranked Cooter to be named Cooter of the Week. The 5 points are sexual deviancy, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall look and attire, and overall patheticness. Boys, who do you nominate first?
I don't know. This is actually kind of tough for me to. I feel like this is a tough one because we don't spend so much time with very many people.
Well, Bob
Bob clearly has some thoughts, and I'm interested to hear it.
I was gonna. I mean, to me, like the movie overall, there's one fucking clear winner. We could take it like segment by segment, but if we're talking movie overall,
I think there's a clear winner.
Is it the dog?
No, it's the fucking leader of the cult and the safe haven. That dude,
I agree.
The fucking clear winner to me.
Yeah,
fuck
agree,
that
Bob.
dude.
But so, Bob, you have nominated. Give us your first. What point does he hit for you highest? And let's break down a point for me.
All right. For sure, sexual deviancy and manipulation. He allegedly is just having sexual intercourse with everyone at his little camp, like regardless of age. There's a lot of kids there, and he is doing whatever he's doing with them. That's super fucked up. Also, he's
interesting.
He's clearly
European style.
Yeah, that's hopefully not. Hopefully not. He's also manipulating fucking everybody to just doing his will, because that's what a cult fucking is. So he's got those two. Also, he's got arrogance. Like he is absolutely full of himself, because when the dude interrupts him, he murders him. He cuts his throat. Like, don't interrupt this man, or else you're gonna fucking die.
I know. Watch out, Randy. Bob's gonna.
Oh my god.
Bob's a softie. He ain't gonna box cut nobody.
The worst you're gonna get from me is a big nasty bear hug. That's what you're gonna get, Randy.
And emphasis on the nasty.
So nasty. So nasty.
Because that penis.
I'll be stroking.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
This is Bob's drunk episode.
Clean your peen.
We've all had embarrassing moments here. Now Bob gets his due. Let's see. Okay, so
I would
he
agree with
hits
those
3 points. I am also going to nominate on the overall look and attire, because he strips down to his skivvies.
Yeah.
And he is covered in blood. And also at times he looks like just a crazed child, because this man weighs
short.
like 70 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's a
like,
tiny dude. But also, like, his intensity is so awesome. I loved his character.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But in terms of attire, like the carvings does it.
Oh,
like that's a Cooter move. You don't self-carve runes into your body unless you're prepared to enter the realm of the Cooter. So
were we talking about him potentially having a moment of patheticness, or was that somebody else? Maybe
No,
I don't think he does. He's pretty well in control most of the time, I think.
The only maybe
Until
at
he
the
pops.
very beginning when he's like, as soon as he gets on the compound and feels safe, he like bucks up. But when they're like chilling and he's drinking like some milk, I don't know. He's definitely.
I saw that as him manipulating the crew. That's how I read that.
You could definitely say that. Yeah.
Okay.
Because they definitely want her specifically there.
Yeah.
That's
somehow,
true. Okay, that's true.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with that. And I also think that he, in general, like he's a pretty confident man. I've never seen somebody explode with such grace and dignity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we have a clear Cooter. Is there anybody else that comes close that you would like to nominate?
Well, Rob, you brought up the boyfriend in the alien abduction, I believe.
That's true.
Yeah, we don't really get to know him much, but he's absolutely arrogant. I think we can say that.
He's such a shitbag to the kids, but the kids are also shitbags, so it's a little bit of give and take there.
That's really the one that I can say for sure. I don't remember him dressing goofy. I honestly can't remember what he's wearing.
He did have a moment. He did have a moment of patheticness, which is what was coming to my mind when he did say, "I drank your piss, darling. I drank your blood." That's pretty pathetic. That's pretty pathetic.
Like nothing I'd ever smelled before.
Yeah.
He's got at least 2. I don't think sexual deviants know because he's just having sex with his girlfriend, whatever.
Yeah. And she's down.
Yeah.
He doesn't want fucking preteens filming him. I think that's pretty normal.
Yeah, but he does. Even though the sister kind of is like, I don't think this is a good idea, does creep on a preteen boy jerking off and thinks it's a good idea.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah. That's a good point.
True. That is
he films it for blackmail purposes, or does he?
So that would be like manipulation or even patheticness again, I think, because that's fucking sad.
Yeah, manipulation. It doesn't seem like he's definitely like not getting off on it or whatever, but manipulation. But because he's the older guy. I mean, these kids are at least like 7 years younger than him, probably. Yeah. It's like, dude, you can't just like let that shit go, or I don't know.
Yeah, they're just
like beat him up or something. I don't.
Just beat the shit out of him.
Just beat him.
Just lay into him like a normal person. Just beat the shit out of the kids. Whatever.
A well-rounded, normal, non-sexual deviant Cooter.
That's what you do. And then you go bang their sister. Whatever.
Yeah.
That's the real retribution. What are you even doing? Just go
lock
bang
the door when you're banging.
Yeah.
You could just.
I don't know.
True.
I don't know if we got.
All
enough
you got to do is just bang his sister, and that's it. Like that, like deed's done. Kid loses.
I think he could be a Cooter light.
Cooter light, yeah.
I think with a full length movie, he would have been a Cooter for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
just like it because he's not the main villain. He's just he's just one of those Cooters.
We don't have the data.
What was the second segment? No, nobody in the zombie. I don't think.
I don't think
we covered the cult. We covered now the the alien one. Was there anyone in the digital eye glitching thing?
Anybody I guess. No, I don't think so. I think the girl, like the reason for I think maybe Adam Wingard for writing a part just for titties to show up, but that's debatable. Just for yabos.
So now you're gonna bang me, babe. Okay.
So this is the part where we all see your nice yabos, and it's great, and we do that for a few minutes while ghosts are encroaching. Does that sound good?
You need to make it as authentic as possible. So
authentic.
Really get into it.
Yeah, if we don't say Hoppos, people are not going to believe we're
really get
They're just not going to buy it.
That's Adam Wingard's direction. That's how he's making the next Godzilla vs. Kong fucking thing. That's how when
you see Kong's tits, you're all going to be remembering this podcast. All right.
Yabos, Randy, come on. We're not.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cross the line. We're sorry.
Tasteful men.
What was that?
What was that? I thought it was somebody in somebody's house. Randy's getting crazy with these bumps.
I just found that on a site. I just found that, and it made me laugh. So
all right,
we are.
Okay.
There's no science involved.
Yeah, we're not fucking scientists. In case you were unaware,
we ain't scientists.
Speak English, Doc. All right.
All right.
I think we hunted the Cooters.
Oh, no, it's not finished yet, but I think we booked them. I need to take a moment since it is the Cooter segment.
Okay. Yep.
So we have talked about this before, and it's going to bleed into our Hotline Scream segment a little bit later. But we have a good friend who is international, Sheng the Mang, and he has helped us out a scotch before where he said that there is another term that they use in Australia. Instead of cooter, they use bogan. Okay. And so we were always curious. And of course, we've been building up this Cooter profile for a hot minute now. So I think it's time to branch out a little bit. So Shang the Mang has helped us out with the bogan term. And I realized that we have a good friend and listener. Her name is Tika, and she lives in Germany. So I reached out to Tika to see, is there a German term for cooter? And she delivered beautifully. So first, before I embarrass myself, she sent me some recordings, which I really appreciate. Shouts outs to Tika. And she kind of breaks it down a little bit for me. First, Randy, will you play the first bump?
Sure, here we go.
Asi, de Asi.
So the first, Aussie is the main word, ASSI, and then she attaches DER at the beginning of it. So the term is Aussie, and then she does de Aussie. And how she describes this is Aussie is a contraction of the word asocial, meaning asocial. This is a word used to describe someone who is rude or annoying and doesn't take into account the effects of their actions on other people. And she uses it in a sentence too, a German sentence. So Randy, will you play the second bump for me?
Sure.
In German, der Typ ist ein Asi.
Yes, so that's how you would use the term. Yes, in in German. She also gave me this other term, which she asked. She said, "My friend summed up another long word for that," and she sent it to me. And I told her I would try to pronounce it. She does have a recording, but I told her I would try to pronounce it first. Goddamn, German looks intense. Let me try to pronounce this term. Holy Jesus.
Wow, that's an interesting term.
Ein Gaslicht nicht in der Füger Mensch. So that is, it's like 50 letters about. So this is how she pronounces it.
Ein gesellschaftlich nicht eingliederungsfähiger Mensch.
Yes. That is also the more intense term for cooter in German, which we will never speak again because we can't. So, shouts outs to Tika. We are going international with this cooter hunt. We've got the bogan, we've got the cooter, and now we have the Aussie or de Aussie. Maybe she can clarify what the DER is supposed to represent. But yes, thank you, Tika, for helping us out and building up this cooter profile. And
let's hear that one more time. There we go.
That's how you say cooter in German.
That's a pretty funny bum.
I agree. That's why it's there.
Well, all right. Preesh Tika, thanks for weighing in on the cooters. International cooters.
We got to take this hunt international, people.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's got their own word for it, but we know what we're saying. 69 dudes.
69 dudes.
With clean beans.
Cleanest pains. Let's
hey, you clean your peen.
Let's go ahead and let our hair down. We're getting into the social hour. Let's talk about what we've been watching this week.
Hey gang, what you been watching?
Randy, what you been watching?
So I've been on a big video game kick for the first time in a while.
Randy. Well,
it's ongoing now, but anyway, I've been playing Borderlands 2. I'm on the last story mission. I haven't started it yet. I just wanted to get up a level or two, and then I'm jumping in. So that's almost done. It's been a great ride.
Excited for you, Randy. I'm so excited.
Thanks, Dad.
So proud.
No, it's a good game. It's a lot of fun. The voice acting and the story really does well for me. It's nice and funny, and it's engaging, and it's easy enough that somebody who is terrible at first-person shooters can get by.
Good.
So that's good. I also picked up a game called Return of the Obra Dinn, which I had not heard of. It's an indie game, and I got it kind of sight unseen in order to have. I just wanted something different, like very different. And this is one of the most unique games I've ever seen.
It looked very different. It was hurting the fuck out of my eyes when you sent me that.
It's a very, very, very specific visual style. And it looks like, I think it's like all like rendered through a bitmap filter of some kind, but it's all high contrast and contrast. Every pixel is either full black or full white, or else you can cycle through different color schemes, but it's 2-color, and it's a story about a ship in the 1800s in the East India Trading Company that comes back to port with everybody dead or missing. And you are playing the insurance adjuster or whatever that has to just figure out what's happening. You're basically a detective, and you use a little stopwatch in order to go up to a corpse, and it'll take you to that moment in time, and you can walk around in it as if it's like a 3D photo that you can look through and look for clues. You have a log and a book that you can write things down in. You have to figure out who's killed by what, and you're trying to solve everybody's fate. It's really fucking cool. I've only played a few minutes of it so far, maybe an hour. And it's something that Becky and I have played. We were playing together because she's not very into video games in the first place. But this is so different and so not based on like tactile skill with like twitch muscles and shit like that we can both get in on at the same time, and we just kind of like theorize about who this person was, or what this is, and it's a lot of fun. It's a really fucking unique game, and I recommend it so far.
Cool. All right.
Yeah. Last but not least is a movie that I have not seen since I was a kid, but I did watch many times as a kid, and watching it again, it blew my fucking mind. It's a movie called The Witches. Have you guys seen The Witches?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's horrific as a kid, anyways.
It was like late 80s, early 90s, I think, maybe 92 or something.
Yeah, around there. Angelica Houston as the Grand High Witch, and then a bunch of people that you probably wouldn't recognize. But it's based on a Roald Dahl book, which I read in school, but I remember watching this movie a lot as a kid, and I thought it was awesome. I would rent it and watch it again and again, but I didn't realize how horrifying this fucking movie was until I watched it again. This movie is dark as shit. This is about this movie teaches kids to be just terrified of any standard woman walking down the street, because apparently she's this movie starts with the grandma telling her kid to be afraid of normal looking women, keep an eye out for purple tint in their eyes, but that's the only distinguishing feature. They want to eat you, or they want to kill you. And this movie is like they'll steal your soul and put it in a painting, and you have to live out the rest of your life in a painting and die there. It's fucking grim and dark for a kid's movie. It ranks among Return to Oz on the scale of childhood horror, and it makes perfect sense to me now how I was so into this movie, despite it being fucking really, really, really dark. I recommend it. I think that it's very unique. It hits that perfect dark tone for kids horror. And some of the shit that I was watching, the Henson Company had to do with the visual effects, and the Grand High Witch and some of the other witches or whatever are genuinely horrific looking. Oh yeah, their feet are where they don't have toes or something. Club toes or something. Oh. Yeah, they have like scalp itch and rashes and fucked up teeth and shit. And they turn kids oh man, I want to do a whole episode on it. It's so interesting to talk about or to think about.
Now you want to talk about witches. Now you do.
Fuck you.
Okay.
What?
No, I'm just breaking
Did
your
he
balls.
block that before?
Yeah. What, did I
No, you
diss
didn't.
on witches?
You didn't really. I picked it a while ago for a poll pick, and it just didn't win. That's it. I'm just trying to break some
I think
balls.
it lost against Hocus Pocus.
I think it probably
that was
did.
when we did kids movie.
Yeah,
Here's
which
my
Hocus
impression of
Pocus
Bob.
is fantastic. So.
Yeah, we should put it back on a poll pick because it's really great. And here's my impression of Rob. There we go.
Thank you.
That's a pretty good bump action. I'm warming up to it.
It's accurate.
Good.
It's accurate.
I'm so pleased to hear it. Yeah. So that's what I've been watching. Other than that, really not a whole lot worth noting.
Okay. Cool. Juice, what you been watching?
So I mentioned earlier in the podcast that I did watch a movie called The Lodger, a story of the London Fog is the subtext. It is actually a film from 1927 directed by Alfred Hitchcock. So back in the 20s, and actually it's not his first film, but it is the film that he considers like the first true Hitchcockian film or whatever. Like, so I think his other films just aren't that good. The ones that he started with, there's like 2 or 3 that he made before this. And in interviews, he's like, no, this is the first true, like, it's the first film that he does a cameo in. So a lot of like his like things that he ends up being known for later, he kind of establishes in this film. But it's essentially, it's a silent film, and it's kind of like a play on like the Jack the Ripper story. In the story, the killer's not called Jack the Ripper, but it's like the same premise. And it's actually based off of a novel. But it's about kind of the hunt for this killer in London or whatever, who's killing like beautiful young women. And then there's a beautiful young woman whose family takes in like a strange lodger, like to live in one of their rooms, like they're renting out one of their rooms. And then it's like, is he the killer? Is he not the killer? So it's kind of this mystery silent film. It's pretty solid. It was very interesting to watch. A film that old and from Hitchcock. I had never seen anything from Hitchcock that old. So it is very interesting to me. If you like older silent films. And let's see. Other than that, I haven't been watching a whole lot. I did find this YouTube channel that I'll shout out, SNES Drunk, which is, I was saying that I was interested in finding some older horror games to maybe explore playing. And I stumbled upon this channel, and this dude does a really good job. He focuses on older video games. And one of his like segments that he does, or one of his like he'll do a video on, is he'll talk about a game, like a classic game. Like he did Super Metroid, and then he also did like Zelda, A Link to the Past. And he's like, if you like this game, you probably would like these other games that are like way less known, you know, that maybe have a similar type of puzzle style or like look or whatever that you just like otherwise wouldn't really know about. And he doesn't kind of hold back on consoles at that point. So it's not just completely for SNES. Some of it even comes into like modern games or whatever. So he'll kind of cover a wide range, focusing on a specific game. So I appreciate that. It's pretty interesting, and he does a good job. Dude seems to like love the shit out of like just video games. So good on that guy, man. He's like,
I've seen that guy's stuff. It's good.
Yeah, he puts the work in. So I appreciate that. But other than that, yeah, I think that's about all I've been watching. Robert,
hello.
What have you been watching this week? Some new baby blues?
Yeah, I got some new blues in.
All right, tell me about them.
I will. I watched a movie called Abominable from 2006. This was put out on Blu-ray by MVD Rewind. It's basically a Sasquatch movie. It's Rear Window, Hitchcock's Rear Window meets a Sasquatch movie. That's what it is.
All right.
It's decent. Finding a good Sasquatch movie is difficult to do. I wouldn't say this one is incredible. I wouldn't say it's a piece of shit. The acting is a little bit dodgy. The dialogue is a little bit dodgy, but when you get the like Sasquatch practical effects, they're solid. Like better than I feel like they ought to be in a movie that has this level of acting in it. Like, obviously, they just gave all the money to the
effects team. Showed up, huh?
Yeah, they paid them, but they didn't pay the actors. I think that's what went down. They like the Sasquatch is super like scary and effective, and he's just like ripping people's heads off and arms off and shit, and like it looks pretty sweet. Outside,
Randy, what do you think about that movie?
Yeah, it's growing. It's growing.
A little jab in there.
I dig it. Overall. I think it's worth checking out, but it's pretty low brow. Outside of that, I watched this movie from 1986. It's called Trick or Treat, not Trick or Treat. It's like a heavy metal horror movie. It's got like a pretty solid metal soundtrack. It's about this like hair metal rocker who he commits suicide, and he's got this unreleased record. And this radio DJ has the only copy of this unreleased record, and he plans to play it on like Halloween night. And there's this like teenage kid who is like so into this dude's music, and he finds out that he has committed suicide, and he's super sad, and he like hangs out at the radio station, and he gets a copy of this dude's unreleased record, and he's like way into it, and he's listening to it, and he starts playing it backwards, and it like brings the spirit of this like heavy metal rocker back to life, and he just starts like ruining this kid's life for some reason. For some reason, he wants to fuck this kid's life up, son. So he does it, and he's like, the terminology is pretty funny. This like grown ass man is talking to this kid, and he's like, "We're gonna nail your friends. We're gonna nail all of them. We're gonna nail them." Like it's it's bizarre. It's pretty funny. There's Ozzy Osbourne actually has a pretty hilarious cameo in this. He's playing like a priest, and he's denouncing like heavy metal music and shit. It's pretty funny.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's
Papa, don't preach.
It's fun for what it is, and it's one of those movies that I had heard about for a while. That's like really good to watch around Halloween time, and I've been trying to find some new ones that I hadn't seen before, so I picked this up. It's hard to find on physical media though. If you want to buy it, you got to buy like a region-free disc that was produced out of Germany. I found one on eBay for reasonably cheap. So Trick or Treat, I recommend it. It's pretty fun.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I've been watching this week. Let's go ahead and jump into our final segment of the show. We're getting into our Hotline Scream segment. If you are listening and you want to call in and leave us a voicemail, you can hit us up at 904-638-3231. We posed a question last week. Actually, we posed like 3 questions last week.
We never limit ourselves.
Yeah,
ever.
We had a few. Randy, you asked about like pop songs that were written specifically for horror movies, I believe, something like that, right? The Addams Family, Whomp specifically is one that you cited, which is hilarious. Asked about dealing with significant others and specifically if they are not into the spooky shit, if they're not into the horror movies and you are, how do you deal with that situation in real life? Juice, did you have a question as well? I honestly forgot.
I asked how much you would give me for a black market
That's right.
whole pick.
That's
pick.
Black market.
How much would you pay me to clean your peen?
Which
that is not the question I posed.
Juice will give it the old spit shine, if you know what I'm saying. We got 2 voicemails this week we got to get through. First one is from my boy Wes, Brothers in Scream.
1 a.m. Wes.
1 a.m. Wes. That's right.
As he's been faithfully dubbed.
Heard that.
Here we go.
Hey guys, it's Wes. I'm just having lunch with my family. Told them I had to go take a call. So this is important. So basically, what I do about my significant other not liking horror movies is pretty simple because I don't have one. Because, that's a waste of time and money. Anyways, to answer my boy Soju's question, legally, I'm not going to state it over the phone. For the black market, poll pick, so just private message me and we can work something out. All right, thanks guys.
We're going to get arrested.
We might get arrested. I need to be careful with my pictures from my questions.
Your nudies.
Send me your nudes, children.
Wes, you're not getting any more DMs from Shaboy.
No. Do not.
We are on a watch list.
Do not slide into Juice's DMs, please.
Oh, God. I want to point this out, too. The speech to text has sidled up to some racism a little bit here. The text to speech or the speech to text reads, at one point. Anyways, to answer a voicemail, Jews question.
Hey,
this fucking voicemail is talking about the Jewish question, Wes. I don't think we want that involved on our shit, all right? 1 a.m. or no?
Yeah, why are you having lunch with your family at 1 a.m.? That's the question I have.
Also, why I don't know that we calling us is an appropriate reason to leave your family at the dinner table. But maybe
I disagree.
Maybe I'm just an old man, Randy, but have dinner with your family, buddy.
Guys, I gotta go.
You know what we're having for dinner?
Rigatoni.
That's right.
Oh my God.
Leave your families now and call me. I demand it.
Slide
Leave
into
your families and
DMs.
send me pics.
Sit across from your
Get
father.
him idea.
I'll tell you about the Jewish question.
Look into your father's eyes while you slide into Juice's DMs. Do it now.
Damn. Not good shit. Wes, you're going to get us in a lot of fucked up trouble. All right. Let's do this. What's our next one?
We got one more voicemail from Julia B, I believe. Let's hear what Julia has to say.
Hi guys, Julia B here to answer an older prompt, so I'm sorry, about viewing habits during the Halloween season. And I essentially do the opposite of what Bob does and only watch movies that I have seen before, with the exception of theater releases I'm hyped for, like the new Candyman or Halloween Kills next year. My logic is that I don't want to waste time or gamble on a crap movie and be disappointed during my favorite month and holiday. So every year, I actually create my own 31 Days of Halloween list and mostly watch only my favorites, old and new stuff. So like Carpenter's The Thing, Audition, Hereditary, old and remake Evil Dead, Sleepy Hollow. I'm really aiming to maximize the fun during spooky season as much as I can. And then I really watch these movies any other time. My anniversary is even in October, and Halloween is the only day of the whole year I can convince my husband to watch any horror movie I want. The pressure is so hard to narrow it down. I don't go too hardcore with it or indie, though, because no abusing the tradition since he's not a huge horror fan. But we order pizza, carve pumpkins, eat a bunch of candy. It's pretty awesome. Anyways, thanks for taking my call, and I had a question for you all. How good do you think that pumpkin ale would be to a greenhorn beer/ale drinker? I'm very intrigued. Take care and keep chilling, everyone.
That was an excellent call. Yeah. I am so amped for Halloween purely because of that call. The 31 Days of Halloween idea is excellent, and I think other people do that, but like I have never actually considered doing it myself until Jackie brought that up. Julia, I'm sorry.
Julia. That sounds like a phenomenal anniversary celebration. Like you order pizza, you're carving jack-o'-lanterns, you're watching scary movies on Halloween. How can you improve upon that? I don't know. I just don't know. I respect your role, Julia. Just watching bangers every day of the month of October. I respect it. I can't argue with it. I enjoy the hunt, trying to find new shit. But if you're just watching bangers, no hate.
Pumpkin ale. Yeah. I mean, like answering that question. I'm not a big beer drinker, but I will drink some pumpkin ale because I like the flavor of pumpkin shit. Like it's one of the few things my mom always brings up whenever pumpkin is in the room.
She thinks you're obsessed with that shit.
Oh,
to
Randy
this day,
loves pumpkin.
I think I might have said that to her once when I was 17, and it's followed me since. But yes. Yeah, I mean, it's like I think it really depends on who's making it though, because there's a lot of different pumpkin ale at this point. It's a pretty big business just to release the seasonal brew with pumpkin in it. Rob, you've tasted more than I have for sure. So what do you think?
Yeah, so the question that she posed was like somebody who is sort of unfamiliar with beer, has not a big beer drinker, I gather. And if you're not really into beer, I don't imagine you're going to like pumpkin ale. I don't really see that being the case.
And sometimes even honestly, like there's very few pumpkin ales that I've had that like really caps like that. I was like, sometimes they taste like soap. I mean,
sometimes they're bad.
That flavor that they're trying to capture, it's just go eat like a pumpkin pie or something, because it can be hit or miss with the pumpkin ales. Honestly.
I'll tell you, the best pumpkin ale I've had still is pumpkin. Yeah. And if I drink that, again, as not a big beer drinker, don't drink a lot of beers usually. But the way to drink that and enjoy it for me is a pumpkin ale is to get pumpkin, put it in a pint glass that is rimmed with graham cracker crust and honey. That's what they did at a bar. Yes, you got to give that thing a rim job. it'll be worth your while. I promise.
That sounds pretty good.
I halfway agree with Randy. I don't like the graham cracker pie crust rim because it falls into the glass and then you're just drinking soggy clumps of graham cracker. And I don't dig that at all. But Pumpkin, like as far as mass-produced pumpkin ale goes, Pumpkin is my favorite. There's a lot of like smaller breweries that do cool stuff, but like mass-produced shit that you can get anywhere. Try Pumpkin, and if you don't like that, you're probably just not going to dig pumpkin ale, I think.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
All right. So this week, I would like to pose. So we talked about the international Cooter. If you are international or just speak another language, please let us know if in that language there is a special term for this Cooter type. Again, I could break it down. Someone who is sexually deviant, manipulative, smug, arrogance, got a weird look, and overall just kind of pathetic. If there's a term for a person like that in the language that you understand or speak, please let us know. Tika, thank you again. And if you're international, so Tika hit me up on Instagram, but you can send us an email too. So at Straight Chilling Podcast or straightchillingpodcast@gmail.com. You can email us there and like include like a voice recording. Tika sent me her voice recording on Instagram. So, if you would please help us go international with this Cooter hunt, the way Tika did this week.
I gotta say, what do we have so far? We have Cooter, obviously, in the
Bogan and Ozzy.
And Ozzy. So we got these three. We want to make that list as long as we can because Lord knows a Cooter by any other name is just as repugnant.
So we need to know. And once maybe we have those terms that at one point we had talked about maybe how the attire and look changes. So we'll branch this out. Yeah. But first we want to know your terms. In what language is that the term? So let us know kind of the context, if you will. Give us a little explanation. And please hit us up. You can, Instagram, email us, or if you want to try and call in too, it's like a Google number or whatever. It still works. Yeah. Bob, what's that number?
Yeah, it's 904-638-3231.
Yeah, if you're calling international, I guess the US is just +1 or whatever. Number 1.
Is that the region code? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Sure. Sounds good. Send an email if that doesn't work. Yeah, you can write in, contact us one way or another. Because now we're writing a fucking Cooter thesaurus. We got mini chapters.
We have a glossary to fill out, people.
That's right.
I mean, I think we have properly, filled out the Cooter codes like we know, but now we need like the terms. We need to go international with this shit.
Are they organized Cooters or disorganized Cooters?
We'll find out.
Yes, we will. Apparently, we will. Let's get to the bottom of it. That's going to do it for us this week here at Straight Chilling. We're going to be back next week with a brand new episode. We're going to be talking about a new movie, actually. It's actually new to Shudder as of last Thursday. It's a movie called Random Acts of Violence. It is exclusive to Shudder. Slam your eyeballs into that. We're going to be talking about it next week. Until then, please
be prepared to be bedazzled.
Be prepared to be bedazzled.
Also, keep an eye out on the socials. We might be doing a viewing party.
We might be doing a duty on the camera.
A duty party.
We're gonna do a duty.
We might do a little duty free.
A duty party.
Viewing party on that potentially.
True.
Keep an eye
Clean Peens duty free. That's what we're all about right here.
And also, you guys are getting your bonus episode. I'll just throw it up on YouTube because that's a platform everyone can access easily. You'll be getting that. I'll throw it up after this episode. So listen to this one first, and then you'll get your bonus. So probably on Tuesday.
Thank you, Juice.
You're welcome.
Thank you for saving us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Indeed. Until next week, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at STR8_chilling. On Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. You can send us an email through our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. If you want to join in on the daily Slack channel conversations, hit us up on one of those social media outlets. We'll send you a link to join in on the Slack channel conversations. Call in, leave us a voicemail at 904-638-3231. And until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.
Hey!